People always ask for something new. It's inevitable. At 50, well, it stops.
Have you ever dreamt of a better version of yourself? Younger, more beautiful, more perfect. One single injection unlocks your DNA and will release another version of yourself. This is the substance.
I'm Sue.
You're hired.
Let's go.
A perfect balance of 7 days each. The one and only thing not to forget. You are one. You can't escape from yourself.
There's been a slight misuse of the substance.
This balance is not working.
Would you like to stop? Would you like to stop? Would you like to stop? Would you like to stop?
I'm fine. Everything's fine.
You have to control yourself. Old, fat, disgusting.
People are gonna love that.
Hi everyone, this is so exciting. I'm so pumped up and excited for this.
Are you, when I told people I was reviewing this, I was at a party last week and they're like, people have thoughts. Like, this is the type of movie that people who don't watch horror films go see and have thoughts. People who just haven't been in theater since COVID went to go see this because they heard so much about it. The buzz around this movie, across the board, across all journalists, all movie critics. I love anytime I will always love horror film, love body horror. Anytime a film is this good, right? Anytime it hits so many social things, so many big all caps topics and hits so many different people. I wouldn't be shocked if this comes up for an Oscar nomination or BAFTA, all those kind of nominations, Golden Globes, what have you. Definitely Golden Globes, but I have a feeling because of the artistry of the makeup and the costuming, the fact that this film is cinematographically so well shot and also has so many shout outs to so many movies people love and so many things people like have ingrained in their brain, even if they don't realize it. Demi Moore's performance alone, if she does not get a nomination, I will burn down LA. Like I'm so impressed with her and so happy that she did this movie and so happy that this movie is getting the accolades that it is. So when I told people we're going to review this, a lot of people were like, yeah, do, because it's got so many layers and there's so many things and there's all these different things that everyone takes something different from it. So I'm very excited to hear what you ladies think of it. But I got thoughts too, and I took a lot of notes. I had Jenna in my brain going, "Oh, I wonder how many notes we both took." Such a great movie. So thank you for picking it.
Oh, of course, I couldn't wait to not. I had to pick this film. So like, I was the first of the three of us to see it, and I went with one of my oldest friends, Roxy, and the two of us.
Roxy!
What a great name too! I love that name.
And we squealed and grabbed each other and laughed and screamed and loved every damn second of it. We had it was actually probably one of the times where I can actually remember seeing a movie, and I have not seen a movie since probably when I was very young, where I reacted this way, where it was insanely so much fun, so visceral. I actually enjoyed the theater experience, like, you know, and all everything about it. And watching the other people in the cinema was equally as fun as watching the film. I was lucky that I saw it in a real small kind of art house cinema. So everyone who was there knew what they were going to be seeing. So there wasn't anyone there like who lost their mind and walked out or anything. But there was like, there was a lot of shock and awe, which was brilliant to watch, and a lot of joint, like, you know, kind of moments, which was really cool. And normally I hate that when I see a film. I hate, like, you know, that kind of thing, but I loved it this time around. But it actually, I left, like, my heart was like beating the entire movie. I didn't even notice we'd gone past 2 hours. You know what I mean? I was just like so immersed in the experience and was like not even remotely bothered by how long I'd been sitting there. And when I left, I just, there was not, like, me and Roxy were just, seriously, we squealed all the way walking back like, we walked like a block back to my house. We were squealing and we were just like constantly like, this is the best thing I've seen. This is the best thing I've seen. This is the best thing I've seen. It was just wild. And then, of course, prefacing this whole stream, if you haven't seen The Substance and you're watching it anyway, I love you for your passion and support of us by watching this, even though we're going to talk about this. But we are talking about the film. So if you haven't seen it, you are going to get it really ruined, which you're doing it with intent. So
I mean,
but
you will get it ruined, but I feel like not really, because so many people talk about it.
You know, it's true. But yeah, it is just wild. It is just an adrenaline fueled, like, I've never been so excited to watch it. It was like watching like the most extreme action film you've ever seen, but it's not an action film. And then couple that with horror at the nth degree, like, that was brilliant as well. And then with these incredible females on screen, like Demi Moore, if she doesn't get anything, I'm just gonna
the cast. The whole cast was perfect. All of them were perfect. Yeah.
And she deserved everything. It's like, she absolutely slayed. And so did Margaret. They're just brilliant.
Oh yeah, Margaret's great. And Dennis Quaid.
Dennis
play
Quaid,
a creepier dude. I know. I like seeing Dennis Quaid. It also is great to have Dennis Quaid come back into film because he's such an icon from the 80s that it's great. And also in the 90s, that it's so great to see him kind of like Kevin Bacon is like now becoming a hot commodity in the horror film a genre, if you will. I love Dennis Quaid for playing creepy, and not just creepy, but gross. Like, and also his character's name is it's like Harvey, obviously, not to the other creepy real life dude, Harvey Weinstein. But he did a great job in this character, and it's a weird character to play. So I'm glad that Dennis Quaid was in it.
Yeah, I did watch something early on that said that Demi Moore was like, one of the scariest parts or grossest parts of the film was the scene when he's eating, like and I was like, yeah, eating the shrimp.
Well, I think the whole point in showing how disgusting he is to show how, like, our society is fine with guys being completely repulsive, sexist, and pieces of shit, and they can go and have this longevity as, forever, but women have like this cutoff. And I think that was the whole point in showing that sort of grotesque with the acceptance of him as like a leader in his field that's not going to go anywhere.
Right. Yeah. He's behind the scenes, so he doesn't have to worry about being on camera. But to be honest,
even if he was on camera, no one.
It doesn't matter.
History has shown us you can be the most disgusting, foul, what have you male and still get away with whatever you like. We know that.
Yeah, and you can still be front facing on camera. I mean, I can't tell you how many times like I've been front facing on camera doing like either journalism stuff or I'm interviewing people or I'm doing my own shows for other companies, other people, and they're asking me to lose weight, or my show's going to get canceled or they're going to replace me with somebody else younger. And this was even 10 years ago. And meanwhile, the guys that are doing something are, big schlubs, they're like, they just look like gross dudes that you would drink beers with and they don't even think they bathe on a regular basis. And their shows were fine because they represented something that I guess other dudes like to see themselves in. But if you're a woman, good luck. So, I mean, and I'm not even an actress. Like I wasn't even doing anything where you expect someone to be hot, but more and more journalists now and movie critics that are women they have to they fall sometimes if they're doing it not for themselves but for other companies. They hear that we love you, we think you're very energetic and knowledgeable and charismatic and interesting to watch, but if you could just lose about 10 to 15 pounds. I don't think I lost count how many times I heard that on the regular to me, where I was just like, great. So is this other guy that has a show right after me going to lose about 10 pounds? Because he's about, a lot heavier than me, but no, it's because of it's that weird double standard. And it takes place this movie takes place in Hollywood. I can't imagine it taking place anywhere else. Like it's perfect.
Well, yeah, it takes place in Hollywood, but they show the star sign of her and it snows on it. And I'm like, there's no snow in Hollywood.
Well, didn't we have a freak snow one year? I think we did.
Once in a blue, once every 20 years, there's a little tiny bit of snow. But I still was like, hey.
Oh, no, there were science fiction moments in this movie that we will get into, but I don't want to. I want you to also say your introductory thoughts, Jenna, before I go.
So I think before we switch the subject, though, but I think that the point of him being so grotesque and everything was directly in contrast to how beautiful and flawless she was.
Yeah,
and how she was this epitome of this youthful beauty, unrealistic beauty standard, and he was the puppet master behind the strings, controlling her, but also being this disgusting guy that he gets all the passes, of course. But Demi has an expiration date,
Yes, he gets to control it is interesting because it's not his show, right? Because he has these people that are behind him, like the investors. When he meets up with Sue in the hallway, you see that whole bunch of people behind him. We're kind of like the network guys, right? Because there's always network guys.
And they're all guys. They're all guys.
Yeah, but it was this movie is so interesting on how realistic it is, but also there's moments where you're like, wait a minute, I don't have secret space in my apartment to make a brand new hiding place for my body when I'm in the hot zone. I love that. And also she suddenly knows how to build an entire architecturally sound separate room in her apartment was funny to me. I don't know why. Because there's other moments in this movie. Well,
she is the DNA perfect specimen of her. So
true.
I also thought in sci-fi world. Okay, somebody said something about how the tourists are gross dropping sauce on her Hollywood star. When I was watching it again tonight, I was thinking that when the guy drops the ketchup or whatever on it, this is kind of a foreshadow because he smears it all around, and then I was like, oh, this is a foreshadowing because it was the second time I watched the film. When it reminded me of when she takes the lipstick and she's smearing it all over her face.
Yeah.
So.
Also, in real life, people will damage stars of people they don't like. So when Trump got rehired, re-elected, there were so many people that took TikToks of themselves peeing on his Hollywood star. And I think it also had to have a security guard next to it last time he was our president, because people would take sledgehammers to it. Because he does have a Hollywood star for being on The Apprentice. Also, here's a little insider knowledge. You can have a Hollywood star if you think you have at least a couple of credits on IMDb and pay $30,000. That's it. Yeah. You don't have to. Yeah, that's it. There's no committee. What have I been
doing with all of my money?
Yeah, there's no committee.
But clearly, but obviously that's not the way to go.
I guess if you want a free Hollywood star and a big celebration, they'd have to nominate you. But if you just want one, you can buy one. Sorry. Anyway,
here I am spending all my money on an education.
Let's make it happen for you, Jenna. You've been in enough movies. You deserve a star. I just don't want it to be anywhere where people would pee on it.
Yeah, it's Hollywood, so that's everywhere.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a good point.
I'd rather be a star that gets peed on than no star.
That's the pull quote for this show.
What's wrong with that? You know what I mean? I'd rather be, Anyway. Speaking about it, again. So, women, this film is by an amazing director, Coralie. I can never say her name. Coralie.
She's French, right?
French, correct.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm not having an earthquake. It's just everything's falling.
The film that most people know her for is her film Revenge. So if you haven't seen that, go and check that out as well. But this film has earned over $50 million for a female director for a horror film.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh my god, I didn't realize it made that much already.
Yeah. And like it's people, like you said, you mentioned earlier, like people who hate horror, people who don't like horror, people who won't watch it are all going to see this film.
You know, after watching the trailer right now, because I hadn't seen the trailer before, I was really glad because I just walked into the movie. I hadn't seen anything about it. All I'd known is that you had seen it, and I heard it was really good and it was getting like a lot of buzz. And I was like, I don't want to. I hate knowing things about movies.
Yeah.
So
and then of course you were here, and I was like, you gotta go. And
I'm so glad. I'm so glad I didn't watch that trailer because that trailer gave away a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't watch the trailer before I saw it. I'd only seen like a few still images on Instagram, but I didn't watch the trailer for this one because I hate to say it, but I had a feeling in my bones that it was going to be a goodie. So I didn't watch it. And I was like, I'm going to wait. And
good call. Good call.
Yeah.
And like the theater that we had these special like substance like activated cocktails, which was freaking cool.
What was it? Was it green? What did it look like? The cocktail? I'm curious.
Green. Yeah, it was green.
Of course it was.
Green.
Yeah.
Yeah, had to be.
Anyway, it did look Midori. I mean, I will say that vial.
It did have the Midori vibe, yeah.
Doesn't it? I mean, I haven't had Midori in a while. It's like a green liqueur that tastes like melon.
Yeah, I haven't had Midori since I was like 19 years old and sneaking into bars that I should not have been in.
Yeah,
I feel that's what Midori sours.
Spliced
Midori sour. We should have had those for tonight.
That's what we would drink. We would drink Midori sours and cosmopolitans. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like 2002.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Renee.
Half my life.
I was just gonna say, and is there a more like famous yellow jacket? Like, I hate yellow, but why do I like this yellow jacket? Even I'm obsessed with this yellow jacket in this film.
Oh.
Okay. I hate the fucking yellow jacket.
I hate yellow.
No, I fucking hate. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I wrote it.
Wow. I hate it.
I don't like yellow as it is. I really.
There's got to be there's a reason for it, and I'm sure you've got notes on it.
No, I don't have notes on it.
I thought it was because yellow I think yellow symbolizes rebirth in a few cultures. But here's the problem with movies like this. I watched it 3 times. I got a movie, MUBI. That's where it's streaming right now in the United States.
Where I watched it too.
I got a movie subscription to watch this movie because because I'd only seen it in the theaters, which, by the way, this is a movie to see in the theaters just to watch everyone's reaction, because you will have like this bonding moment as an audience who's never seen it before. But also, if you have seen it, it's kind of fun to watch people watch it because there's so many.
I went and saw it in a theater, and there was a couple that was in like 20 minutes and they just got up and left.
Yeah.
And they didn't come back. Like they just
left. Wait. What can I ask what scene? What scene made them go?
I don't remember. I would have to ask my date. I don't remember.
Because this is a long movie. This is 2.5 hours long, I think. I got to the 2-hour mark and I paused it because in the theater I didn't put 2 and 2 together. That was a long movie. I paused it and I'm like, holy crap, we have another half hour. I was like, what could possibly happen in the last 30 minutes of this movie that won't be as disturbing? And then I was like, right?
That's what
it's like, yeah, it's like one of those movies where you're like, oh, how could they possibly make this work? Like make this more unnerving. Like I don't want to say worse, just more unnerving, more like guttural, more like things you will never unsee, things that will haunt you, but also things that will make you laugh, but also things that tie in things that happen at the beginning of the movie. So I watched a lot of commentary from YouTubers and people that review horror films to see what they thought, and the things that they caught, the symbolism, like right down to Sue's name being an anagram of use, like you're using yourself. I was like, oh crap, people are like taking away a lot of cool symbolism and the stuff from this movie. So that's why I'm like, go see it. But also, if you listen to us, thank you. But there's so many people like putting their own take and spin on this movie that I would have never done, that I find, and also women, men, people that also present as non-binary people. You know, there's so many gender issues in this movie, not just age issues, not just sexuality, not just, you know, whatever you would normally think. There's a lot to unpack in this movie. So I just wanted to say again, go see this in a theater if you can, just for the experience of being around people freaked out. But if you prefer to watch it at home, just know there's so many points where I know you're going to pause it, because I paused it at so many moments where I'm like, wait a minute, what's that? Because there's things that happen in the background, and there's things that happen like next to her, or there's things that you are gonna. It's like a quick shot, so you don't get to dissect it. So it's a good movie to dissect if you have the opportunity to.
And it's just brilliant watching people like lose it over it. Like I was losing it, but in a brilliant way. I was just like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. Like if I'm knee slapping and like grabbing you like this, it means I really like this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like the whole time I was like, I was like, there was a point, like, because there's people in this cinema are fucking rad, and there was a point when and Jenna knows how loud I am, and when I'm really really rad up, which I was, and then I'm also quite. I mean, I am pretty funny, I gotta say. Anyway, I was dropping. I dropped like there's something I said in the cinema, and the entire cinema burst into laughter, and it was just like this really beautiful moment. Like, but like there was this like there's just so many moments that I was just like, no, she's gonna, isn't she? And like Roxy be staring at her, and she's like, and we both be like, oh, she is, yes, like just losing it.
Yeah, and I will say there's also moments, if you go see it in a theater, be very selective at what you eat, like what you're going to be eating in the theater, because the theater I went to go see it in sold hot wings, and there's a moment in the movie where chicken or turkey, some kind of cooked poultry, comes into play multiple times during this movie, where I saw people instantly like take a bite of their turkey leg or chicken leg or what chicken wing or whatever right when something happened in their aerobic shot, and they just quickly put it down, and it was like, oh yeah, just like, you know, it's not a movie to watch while you're eating dinner. I'll just put it that way.
I was smart. I only had popcorn and potato chips and chocolate covered strawberries.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely love popcorn.
Thing. I had a chocolate.
Yeah. Anyway, I did want to give that disclosure. And this movie has a fuck ton of triggers. So, like, as someone who is, you know, recovering from I don't want to say, I'll just say ED, because I guess you get demonetized. We're not monetized, but you get demonetized on YouTube if you mention it by name. But if you are eating a lot because of depression,
That's ridiculous. You can't just talk about things.
No, you'll get demonetized. That's why language. But you know what? That's why slang is changing, because self-harm, certain terms about self-harm, and this movie is a movie about self-harm as well, right? But there are self-harm triggers, there are eating triggers, there's just a lot of triggers in this movie. But also, as someone that has stuff like that going on, I'm not instantly going to be depressed watching it. So to me, it doesn't trigger me like a dog dying is a bigger trigger for me than a lot of the stuff that happened in this movie. But I'm glad that they covered the things they did that are triggering, because those are very big deal things to a lot of women who are trying to keep their beauty, keep their youth, keep their looks. And sometimes things just happen and get out of your control. So I'm glad those things were covered. But there are like a lot of moments in this movie where I'm like, holy crap, this is like a lot. This is like a lot. So yeah.
There's a lot going on, but also like I feel like every person is going to find a part in this film that hits them the hardest. Like there's so many different things going on in this film. Like still for me, the scene that like disturbed me the most still remains the scene in the bathroom with the smearing the lipstick, because I've lived that experience.
Me too.
Many times.
I lived it, what she goes through. So the premise, like the fact that she gets asked to be on a date by like a dude, just a normal dude that knew her in school and still thinks she's gorgeous, and he's kind of awkward town, but she's like, oh, you know, flattered. He gives her his number. I mean, I didn't like him because I found him kind of creepy. To me, it was a little
he drops the scrap of paper in the dirty thing and then just hands her the dirty paper instead of just writing it on a fresh piece of paper. Like
that was what you didn't like about him, was the paper.
He drops it and then just like slaps it in her hand, and it's all icky, and it's like,
yeah. But that's a running motif throughout the movie, that people are not taking extra care to give her something new. Like her birthday present that's given to her is wrapped in old dirty Christmas wrapping paper instead of brand new birthday party wrapping paper, which, by the way, I only noticed on the third viewing of it that that's what that paper was. But I do find like okay, so last Sunday I was invited to like a movie premiere party at some producer's house, and I knew there were going to be a bunch of hipsters there and a bunch of beautiful people there, and I was going because I'm friends with the people that made the movie, and they wanted me there just because they like me and I'm friends with them. Yeah, but here's the thing. So it started at like, I don't know, early evening. I changed what I was wearing about 16 different times. So that moment in this movie where Demir's character is basically like, she looks hot. She looks hot when she's ready to go. But then she starts scrutinizing herself too much in the mirror. She looks at her neck. She looks at the cleavage. She looks at her hair. She looks at her makeup. And she basically dumbing down her look to like make her look more age appropriate or whatever that is. And then she ends up just losing it and like wiping her lipstick up. And I
she
that
has a tantrum.
I will say that moment. Well, that moment of feeling so insecure. That feeling of insecurity when you don't need to feel insecure, but you can't help but feeling, because she's already been fired from her job for being on her birthday, on her 50th birthday. So and she's seeing like the paper being ripped off her billboard, and you know, it's like she knows that she's old and she's aged out.
Well, then she gets in a car crash.
I think it's in a car crash, which by the way doesn't get a scratch on her. So that should have been
and then
like
the doctor is like so dismissive, like she's like crying, having like a breakdown.
That was but you know what? So how many doctors do we have that are yeah, but how many doctors have we had, male doctors, who are dismissive of older
I know,
women?
and that's the whole like point of it, like of why they showed that in that. But like it was just frustrating. Like there's so many icky male characters in this.
Yeah.
Even with that scene though, like with the doctor being dismissive, it's reinforcing that idea again too, that like women just get back up on the horse and get going. We don't like we're not afforded the luxury of men, like in the sense that they can, you know, take a break. They can like, oh yeah, he's had this major accident, you know, blah blah blah. It's like this courageous act. When women, we're kind of expected to just get back on the horse and get done. You know what I mean? And I feel like that was.
He shows a moment of like where he's about to care, and then his beeper goes off, and then he's like, oh, see you later.
yeah, I'm out. But like, yeah, there's like. But that scene with the lips, like I said, it for me it was about body dysmorphia, like something that I dealt with since I was a teenager, and that used to happen to me regularly. And then I would call wherever I was meant to be, and I would fake being sick because I just threw a massive tantrum and ripped everything off, threw my clothes off, chucked it all off, and I'm like, oh, I'm sick, I've got a stomach bug, blah, can't come. Like I used to do that all the time. So that for me, it was really like insanely visceral watching her do that, because I felt like it was like I suddenly was seeing that, and it kind of it was, and it's a bit of a bummer because you kind of realize that as much as you don't want to feed into the machine, you have been fed. You know what I mean?
You know what's also sad is that I've done that so many times, and then I'll go to an event super late and I missed the people I wanted to see, or I'm still self-conscious, or I'm running late, so I'm all sweaty and nervous, so then my makeup looks gross anyway. And then I keep thinking, you know what? No one's looking at me with that level of scrutiny except for me. And that's and that's what this movie, I think, really is good at showing, is her own worst enemy is herself. I mean, yes, she gets fired because of, you know, basically getting aged out, but she's hot before she ever injects herself with the substance.
So hot. Like in the beginning of this film, Demi Moore is fucking woo. Yeah. She is fire. Like,
but she does come from she does do in real life filler, and she does do stuff. And it's interesting because this movie is, you know, it doesn't call out, it's about an injectable to make you look younger, right? So you can take that to mean, oh, it's like Ozempic, or it's like filler, or it's like collagen in lips, or it's like Ozempic, right? Or, you know, weight loss drug or whatever. I found that very interesting that they kept it an injectable, right? Also the process, which maybe we should go through and talk about the little gremlin. There's some gremlin rules in this movie that I'm like, oh, they're going to not do that. But also the process of how the substance works is very complicated and not for the weak of heart. So it's like, if you want this, just know you're gonna, it's painful, and you're gonna have to re-sew up your back and all this stuff. So I found it very fascinating that it's an injectable. It's not like a pill or something, but also it's interesting how it backfires in different ways. It reminded me sort of the 80s comedy Death Becomes Her, when they get the spell, but they do the plastic surgery, but it's really a new spell, and that goes awry very quickly. and there's always consequences. And by the way, there's no like little sheet of paper that comes with this that tells you the side effects. It doesn't tell you why.
It just says that you guys are one,
right?
And that you have to do the 7 days, and that's it.
Yeah, back and forth.
But
yeah.
then, of course, Sue gets a little greedy with her career aspirations,
Oh.
which is bound to happen. And, like, I'm sorry, but, like, the old man in the diner, like, he told you, lady,
Yeah.
and you didn't listen. You didn't listen. That was, like, your warning. You should have. And
And
the
also,
the first time that my finger got all weird and creepy looking, like, I'm out. Okay, losing a finger, they can cut the finger off, they can whatever, you can have a weird, cool finger story, right? Like, and people might think that's hot, right? Okay, but like once it goes past there, no, thank you, I'm out. Okay,
Is that when you would have been like,
no,
yeah, but she didn't know. Also, she didn't know.
No, I'm sorry, but
then.
that finger would have been enough to creep me out. I'm
That would
sorry.
have been enough to freak me too.
No,
and I find it interesting that, I mean, it is an illegal drug, right? So she is getting it in a back alley kind of way. So it's not like it's FDA approved. It's not like it comes with it's not like when you watch those pharmaceutical commercials and they kind of speed through the side effects at the end, which, by the way, I have been paying attention to those side effects of the latest drugs recently, and some of those side effects are getting weirder and weirder in real life. So I'm writing a movie script right now just about side effects of these things, because they're starting to like.
What drug?
Some of the anti-anxiety and depression drugs. So
Really?
they used to be,
Like
a lot of them would be like, if you have, harmful thoughts about yourself, or, if you want to, as they say on YouTube, because you don't want to get demonetized, unalive yourself, then that is one of the effects. But now some of the effects of these are homicidal thoughts, not the other sidal thoughts. So I'm like, well, wait a minute. But how many people are turning into Dexter because of this? So that's the movie I'm writing right now. Is basically a whole bunch of people are no longer feeling anxiety, but now we have a ton of serial killers. So that's something I was looking at. But this movie is great because you know the gremlin rules, but they don't tell you what happens if you break them until you break them. And that's when I was like, yep. Knew that it was going to be something like this, but didn't know to the degree how graphically horrible and how painful and how.
I know. My date the whole time just kept being like, he was quiet during most of it. He hid his face during some of it. I was like so into it, and I felt so bad because I felt like he was becoming traumatized. And he just kept saying it's so gross. And even afterwards, every time we talked about it, he's like, it's just so gross. He's like, everybody I know says it's so good. I was like, it is so good. And he like sent me this thing that showed like all the connections to other movies, like I was pointing out. And he was like, and I was like, I told you. And he was like, I know. He's like, it went over my head. But
should we talk about some of those movies? Because that's pretty awesome. How many?
I think we should do like just a mini. I think Jenna, you should relay some of your first thoughts. We haven't got like.
Your first thoughts, your initial thoughts of the movie.
You haven't got like.
I mean, I think it's brilliant. I think it's awesome. I mean, can't you tell? I've talked about it a lot. No, I think it's a great film. I think there's a lot of different layers to it. I think that it's an almost perfect film. In fact, I can't, and watching it again today, I noticed something. Because I've only watched it like 2 times. I watched it in the theater in Australia last month, and then I watched it again today. And I noticed something. So in some of the shots at the beginning, there's no billboard. And then in other shots, there is a billboard. So I'm wondering if sometimes if the billboard is actually there or or like a figment of like her paranoia or something like that. Because it's not in every shot. In some shots,
they
show outside the window and it's not there. And I kept like, and I started writing it down, and then I was like, "You're taking too much time, like paying attention to the stand billboard," because I was like, "It's there, it's not there, it's there, it's not there." But I'm just wondering what, like, I'm gonna have to look it up or something.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to rewatch it again, just because I want to sit and like ruminate on it, and like see what other things.
There's so much. There's
and
so
a lot of the fans.
What people didn't say is this movie is also really fucking funny.
It's really funny.
It's
there's commentaries on ageism, there's commentaries on
I mean, come on, guys. That scene, the scene when she's doing the thing, and then the fucking lump goes out her ass. Like,
I know.
Yeah. So, like, just to backtrack a little bit, the rules are when you do this shot. So the first process when she injects herself, because the chicken comes into play in a big way. So basically, you have to you get the shot. The new you comes out of your back, literally, and then the new you has to sew you up, but then also take some of your spinal fluid and inject it into themselves. And then the rule is, you get a week to you, and then you have to be dormant while the other you has a week, and you're never supposed to be alive in the same time, right? Except for that transition period. And also you can't go longer than 7 days. It's a very complicated process. It's not like a simple shot and you're done. And also, when you eat or when you do things to your body, it's supposed to affect your body, but maybe it also affects their body. So that's when she's getting depressed, because Demi Moore's character is watching.
And she binge eats, which is, like you said, a commentary on also on ED. But it's also a commentary on and related to EDs is that how she feels so out of control, and that's the only way that she has any sort of way of acting out or any way of showing any sort of action.
It's a rebellion. Yeah.
Stuck, so she's just like, well, screw this. I'm just gonna do everything I possibly can.
And
her perfect body.
But also, she
and then when her leg, she's sitting in the chair after she's and her leg, and she
No, I would be so bitter. I would be so fucked. Oh, I'd be so bitter. I would. There's no way.
When she's in the kitchen,
I would have stopped after the finger. I just would have stopped after the finger. But there's so much in there. There's unrealistic beauty standards of society. I have a whole list. There's discussion about self-hatred and annihilation, self-harming behaviors. There's talk of the rise and fall of stardom and all of the emotions, the arc of emotions that come with that, and the letting go of this person and this persona and this character that you've kind of created for the world, that the world has fallen in love with, that is a part of you and is you, but it's also not who you're turning into. And it's you're seeing this iconic image of yourself over and over that's perfect as you're aging. Is there's a lot to be said about this.
Yeah, and also it's a big theme of you can't escape yourself, right? You're always gonna be you, even though they are young, old, and they are, and even the young doesn't really look like young Demi Moore, but it is interesting that they blame each other for their issues of things backfiring when they're the same person. They share, and I don't know, I think there's some gray area in how the world building is about this, where do they share memories? If Sue sleeps with someone, when Demi Moore wakes up, does she know what that felt like? Does she know that? Does she have weird feelings of love or lust towards a person? Because we don't see her as herself.
Right. And they don't go into that at all. They don't go into
she's just
how much of her consciousness is in each iteration of herself.
Right. So that's an interesting thing that it's almost like a mother teenage daughter situation more than this is you. This is just young you being a jerk to old you. But here's the thing, we're jerks to ourselves sometimes.
All the time. And we self-sabotage constantly.
All the time. And this is a movie.
A whole commentary throughout this movie.
And this is a movie that really personifies and really visualizes what self-sabotage looks like when you are literally self-sabotaging yourself on all different ways. And the fact that, they're fighting with each other, it's that internal argument you have with yourself constantly. It is an interesting thing to think about, because they are the same person. They're just breaking the rules, and they're mad at each other, and they're not taking responsibility for what's going on. But at the same time, they're also I can live without this other. Breaking the rules on this is crazy. But also, she's seeing how older her is disintegrating, and she's still doing it.
Hold on. She broke the rules originally to get some dick.
She did.
That was the whole thing. She couldn't even it. She could have been hold up. We can continue this another night. I'll see you in a week, babe.
But how long is it been?
To have everything melt down, and the guy would have been more hooked on her probably.
I do wonder though, how long her dry spell was when she was. I mean, if I look like Demi Moore, I don't think I would have had a dry spell if I looked at any Demi Moore level. Even Wicked Finger Demi Moore is still hotter than that's still a
what I'm saying. That's why she should have stopped after the finger. She should have just cut that shit off and like had like some cool finger story.
Just wear gloves, guys. Just wear gloves. Wear really nice like dinner gloves. Like it could be her thing, right?
I mean, some people would think it was hot. Trust me, because scars and shit are hot. I have
there's a fetish
married to a guy who like had his arm and his leg got eaten by a shark, and he's like the hottest guy ever to her.
Yeah,
like,
she could have cleaned up. She could have cleaned up on Witchy Finger OnlyFans. Like she could have probably had an OnlyFans and just cleaned up. Like just like that's hot. I mean, I'm telling you.
I'm just saying the way that finger looks, I would have been out.
It was like Gucci poo. Like both me and Roxy looked at each other and went,
no.
That was it. I was like, no. And then when she steps out of the shower and it, like and her body goes, and then you can
that's another part of the movie. That's
something bad just happened then.
Well, so as you're watching this movie, that's another part. Like throughout watching it both times, I was like also kind of repulsed at myself at how grossed out I was by the aging and the grossness. And I was like, oh God, like I'm going to age. And then I was like, oh shit, like I'm never going to be as beautiful as I am right now. Like right now. So I better right now.
That's a big part of what this film is really about though, isn't it? It's facing yourself and like what you value in yourself and what's important, and whether we like it or not, we are all stuck in this whole machine. Like we do it to ourselves, we do it to whether we want to or not, whether we realize we're doing it or not, we do it to ourselves, we do it to our co-workers, we do it to our friends, we do it to the stars that we like, we do it to the musicians we like. We, as much as we all like, a part of it is ourselves and we feed into it, and it's gross and it's disgusting to realize that about yourself. And I think moments in this film where she realizes how fucked it is, and one of those scenes is almost when they're basically killing each other, and it's like you have that scene and she's just Margaret, like she's annihilating poor little old Demi, and then you have that
smashing scene was like the most, like, honestly, like I'm really good with gore, but there's two parts of it that really made me like cringe, and I was like, ugh. And it was the big smashing scene, and then also like the syringe and the like
syringe in the old
and the hole in the back as it's getting like all in
there's definitely a lot of like I'm squeamish about some of those. Here's the thing, I don't like syringes. I think a lot of people don't, but also I'm squeamish when there's that level of like, I can't even watch action movies where they're like, sewing up a bullet wound hole or they're digging out a bullet. Like, I think
that's gruesome.
Because also, can I say something?
So well done, though. It looks so good.
But also, the sound,
so well done.
The sound design in this movie
sound is so good. In the theater, I was in a really loud freaking theater. I don't know. Loud.
But it's because we're loud, babe, and we need to have everything else.
But here's the thing. Loud. When you watch it on streaming, do yourself a favor and watch it with headphones. Because man, does the sound design really come alive when you have headphones on? Because there were sounds that I did not pick up in the theater watching it that I am now haunted by, that were the sounds of body type stuff and food stuff, but also just like anytime something happened to the body made this weird slurpy sound. It was so interesting, the sound design, but also the things that were going on with her voice, how her voice was changing, right? But her internal dialogue voice was different. The sounds and the music they used was great too. Also, the music was cueing different songs. There is a song that is used at the very end when she's in the blue dress that is actually the same music used in the movie Vertigo, the very famous Alfred Hitchcock movie, where that woman is transformed into Kim Novak is transformed into the other woman. And she's wearing blue, by the way. That is very specific music choice, and I love how this director really took note, and really every choice in this movie, it was not an accident. It wasn't that's the happenstance. It was so carefully curated that I'm like,
yep,
yeah. And I know every time I watch this, I'm gonna see something or hear something I didn't notice before, because it's so dense with so many symbols and music and references, and it's a really great movie to watch over and over, because you are definitely going to notice things you didn't notice before. So probably when we're all going like this, oh my God, I can't watch, I know there were moments where I was like, oh my God, I can't watch that. I missed things. So I'm like, yeah, I need to watch it just straight up.
Came out of the theater like so pumped and so thrilled. My date was not very thrilled. He wasn't as into it. I was like, but look, I was like, I talked about this, and there was like a homage. What?
Jenna, I love that you are the most gorgeous woman I know, and you had a date with a guy who's probably so like thinks he's the luckiest guy in the world being on a date with you, and you take him to this movie. It's like hazing.
Yeah, I didn't really think it through.
Right?
I wanted to see the movie, and he said he would go.
I think it's the perfect way to test someone.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to test a dude, like to test whether or not he gets it and understands complexity, but also like
I can't date someone if they were like, I couldn't date someone if they couldn't vibe with this. I'd be like, sorry, babe.
Is there besides this movie, is there a movie that you have? Is there like a movie you have that you test out to see if a person's worth dating if they can handle the movie? Because I have a few. So yeah.
Wow. I don't know, but this should be something.
There's a lot of movies I really like that I have to like. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When I was in my early 20s, me and my one of my high school friends, me and him had a house together for about 4.5 years. And the movie, we used to put on a movie to figure out if like the girl he was seeing was worth him dating or not. And it was the best thing ever. And so it was our little like inner secret thing. So we'd put Gummo on and see what would happen.
Oh yeah, Gummo. That's a perfect movie to do. Yeah, Gummo's a hard one to watch.
Yeah, we'd put Gummo on, and then we'd be like, depending on her reaction, I would afterwards, like, I would make a little like about it, and then that'd be the decider, the final decider on whether I think this girl's worth dating or not.
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple of those.
We never told any of these women. We never told any.
I think in college, mine was Blair the White Lair of the White Worm, not Blair, Lair of the White Worm, which by the way has a very young Hugh Grant doing some pretty naughty things. So I definitely suggest watching that movie, but it's also visually stunning, but also crazy town. I also really love Society, which this movie reminded me of a lot. The Society, which is an 80s movie that's very much creepy as hell. And also Naked Lunch, which also has a lot of, that's a, Cronenberg. So it has a lot of like weird stuff. But I try not to haze first dates because like I don't know, I'm lucky enough to just date at all. So at this point, I don't want to like ruin my chances. But like if I was,
my middle name is self-sabotage. So I mean, why not Haze? Haze from day one. Renee?
I mean, there are movies that if they don't like it, I can't date them because it will always bug me if they don't like Blade Runner. If they like really hate The Shining, I would be like, I don't know if we could date because it would just come because those are my favorite movies, and that would be. I know this is a shallow thing to say, but I think I just can't. I don't think they would get me if they didn't like those movies because those are so part of me.
I don't like the X-Files. I would be like,
yeah, that's a painful thing to say. That's that's hate language. That's hate speech right there. That's hate speech. If someone said they didn't like X-Files.
This conversation.
Is there one for you, Jenna? Do you have any movies where you're like, if they don't like this movie, I don't know if I can be around them? I feel like you're more mature than I am. You probably don't have that problem.
I mean, I don't know. It's never like come up, but I mean, I guess it should be a thing, I guess.
It doesn't have to be. I
think you need to test one, Jenna. I think you need to pick one and do a test.
You know what the big red flag is for me? Like when you
well, you need another one. We need to do some.
Yeah, I mean, I know when I do dating stuff, like when they, when you do speed dating, they always ask you, what's your favorite movie? My biggest red flag for me knowing I shouldn't date someone because they're either a psychopath or super boring is when I ask them what their favorite movie is and they say they don't have one. That's hard to.
I always say there's too many to pick, and then
that's fine. That's fine. That's a great answer.
Hold on, I have a list for this exact situation.
Right.
Let me tell you.
And I'm sure I'm a red flag for people.
That's good.
They'll ask
like,
me.
I don't really watch.
Question I get asked a lot. I get asked a lot of things like book. People ask me about for book recommendations, movie recommendations, bands or songs. Like,
well, you have a really good taste in music because you always turn me on to new bands I didn't know about. So like every time we hang out, I'm like, oh my God, I have to listen to all these new bands that Jenna says I have to listen to. And also
another music video soon.
Oh my god, you're so good on these music videos. I love that you're doing these. These are great. But also, like, my red flag, I'm sure that for other people trying to see if I'm a psychopath, is when they ask me what my favorite horror film is, and I go into a 10-minute answer saying, "Oh, which genre, which era, which director, which," because I got a lot. And then they're done by genre, but they're also done by director.
That's what happens when someone asks me, "So, what's your favorite horror movie?" And I go, "Is that a can of worms you really want to open?"
Yeah,
I did. What type? And I go, "Well, first of all, what type of horror? What genre of horror?" And then they're already gone. I've already lost them.
I did a stand-up routine once about what would have happened if I was Drew Barrymore's character in Scream and someone called me asking me what my favorite scary movie was. I would have bored the killer to death because I would have gone into a half-hour answer of all the different subgenres and genres, and I wouldn't let him get a word in edgewise, so he would have never scared me because I wouldn't let him talk, because I would still be on my answer, and he would either kill me out of frustration or just move on and kill somebody else because I would ruin it.
You're so technical. You're like,
I would ruin it.
Genres and the genres, and I'm just like this passionate who's like, ooh, this movie, ooh, this movie. Like, I don't even know what fucking genre it is. I just get excited.
Oh no, I'm just a nerd. And you were like, I would rather get recommendations from you, Jenna, because you're so emotionally like excited about the movie you're talking about, and I'm so clinical. I would bore people to death. So like, I would rather have you like recommend stuff, because I'm like, well, first of all, it's about genre. It also is about like, is it a creature feature? Is it Japanese kaiju? Or is it like a werewolf thing? No, I would go into like a whole detail, the history of Godzilla for like an hour. And I've done it. I've been on dates before where I could see my date glaze over. Like I could see them like internally thinking, why did I go on a date with this girl? She will not stop talking. And also I can't stop talking even when I know I should stop talking. Even when I see these things happening, the like self-sabotage.
No, I'm just kidding. Just
so bad. What, Jenna? What did I
say? Like right now? Never mind. It was a
no, accurate. And also burn.
I had to say it. It wasn't true. I just had to say it because it was a
no. It's true. It's true. I walked into that.
No, it wasn't true at all. I just was like,
oh, it is actually. It's pretty accurate.
Opportunity, and I can't stop. I have to say
it. Can I also say? This is totally irrelevant to this, but Jenna is like so small that I pick her up and I run away with her and run around in circles. I don't think people realize how small Jenna is.
No, you're
Jenna
like a Polly Pocket. You're Polly Pocket. You're collectible.
She really is. Yeah. You would have laughed hysterically if you had seen my reactions to Jenna in person. I literally just picked her up like she was a doll on the street and then ran around with her.
And I was just like, okay.
Aww.
All right.
You are very doll. You are very doll-like.
She's very itty bitty.
Yeah.
Itty bitty.
I worry about you when there's high winds in LA. Let's just put it that way.
Oh my God, that's hilarious that you say that, because when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
This is totally off topic. Okay. So I had to like walk to the bus stop, and like I lived in the high desert at the time, and was so bad. I was this little tiny kid who weighed like 50, 60 pounds. Like I was like this tiny little thing. And the wind would be so intense that sometimes I would be actually afraid for myself. And I would be like walking against the wind going, oh my God, I'm going to get blown away. Like it's going to happen.
I used to wear
that happens to every person, but it's happened more than a few times.
Oh no, it can. Like, I mean, I think I told you many times during our childhood on very rural farm Kansas, my brother and I used to run through dirt devils, which are like tiny tornadoes that happen in dusty areas, to see how far we could be thrown. And that's so it's like
that's dangerous.
Yeah, when you're young and you think you're immortal and you're a kid and you're bored, you will play Twister. That's our Twister, by the way. It was actual Twisters. We just run through tornadoes that were like these mini tornadoes, and you just have to make sure you're not by trees because you'll break your arm if you hit a tree. I won't go into that, but yeah, it's like, so it's a thing. But you're very petite. You're very petite, very demure. Not
I'm
demure.
Small is the whole
Are you demure?
I'm small.
very demure, very petite. No, you're very tiny, but also your personality's so big, I forget how tiny you are, and then I see you, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're tiny.
Yeah, which is why I couldn't help myself but go and grab her and run.
Yeah, you're very easy to pick up, which also makes me worry about kidnappers with you. I need to protect you more,
Oh
Jenna.
my god! Can you stop there?
Sorry, this got creepy real quick. Can we talk about how much of this movie reminded me of Kubrick movies because of the
I'm going
film?
back to my so I wrote like in big letters Stanley Kubrick.
There are so many, and here's the thing: if you go on TikTok or any social media with video, there are so many side-by-side comparisons.
Oh yeah, no, it's really
crazy.
Amazing how detailed and like how specifically shot out, and like every shot is very specifically designed, and like everything.
The hallway. So one of the examples is when she's walking down the hallway at work, and there's posters of her on the wall. But that carpet is 100% shining. That is shining carpet. I really wanted like
even the shot and the way that it
the way it's positioned.
The way it's shot. It's exactly, and it's meant to emulate that. Like there's so many like you mentioned Vertigo, right? And it's like there's also, there's obviously there's Shining, Carrie, King Kong,
2001. I mean, just the Kubrick movies alone, there are so many shots. The bathroom,
Lynch, Cronenberg, like there's so many nods to
The Fly. The Fly, I think, and there
Fly.
is an actual close up of a fly in this. The weird, like the choices of what they do close ups on, obviously on the face, obviously on the body. Obviously, it's about, the male gaze. So that's why there's so many like shots of the butt, out of the boobs. Like we get that. But there's other things that are close
those
up.
shots are so well done as like a
and also
shot erotic films and things like that. Especially when they're doing the shots of her like putting on that sexy suit when she goes out in those heels. Woo! Those shots.
But the aerobics,
like what?
Yeah. That aerobics show is quintessential. So I was around during these 80s aerobic shows, right? So it is a nod to Jane Fonda, who was an older actress who was doing who also reinvented herself as like this aerobics fitness guru at that age. What? I'm sorry.
There was also the woman, I've forgotten her name now, but you probably remember her, where everywhere you went, every Kmart, like Target, all of them, there was like, you'd have a whole row of VHS, like aerobics videos.
Well,
and
there was also Buns of Steel.
There was Jane Fonda.
I'm sorry?
It was Jane Fonda.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Is Jane Fonda. So Jane Fonda reinvented herself as like an aerobics person.
Richard Simmons.
But Cher. So here, let's back up to the women though. Let's back up to the women though. We'll get into Richard Simmons in a sec because he's his own planet. But Cher had her own video that was fitness. There's an era where when women hit 45 and up, everyone suddenly had a fitness video or aerobics video. Angela Lansbury even had, I mean, there's like a lot of this that was happening in the 80s because aerobics video, Olivia Newton-John, obviously, with her fantastic video to Let's Get Physical. And also, these shows were very sexual looking in nature at a time when there wasn't a lot of overt sexuality on like mainstream TV. So like I remember working out in college. So this would have been, I'm old. So it would have been like, I fit the demographic, by the way. I'm 52. So like this movie was very interesting to me that she at age 50 is doing all this because I get it. And I'm not even an actress. I don't have my own star on the sidewalk. Like I get it. But this movie hit me extra hard at age 52, seeing her do this at age 50, but also that era of being in aerobics and knowing aerobics videos, like thinking that's your way to fitness, thinking that's your way to sexy. When now we know with science, not everyone can lose weight through exercise. It's great to exercise. There's no problem with that. It's just, you're not going to become this brand new person if you do like a half hour of Buns of Steel. Buns of Steel was this very famous VHS. Famous VHS aerobic series where you could do like 15 minutes and there's all like butt clench exercises. But the way they shot it was very similar to how they shot not the new one, not Sue's video, because Sue's was over. Like I think Sue's was even more over the top than obviously.
It was very pornized.
It was very over the top, right?
The bright colors with the bright, it was very, very. It was very reminiscent of specific adult films that I can.
Oh yeah, but also there's this great movie with John Travolta and Jamie Lee Curtis
Oh God, yeah.
You remember this movie? That was about fitness, and he plays a Rolling Stone reporter that's supposed to be like covering the fitness stage, like the fitness fad of the 80s, and he falls in love with her character. And this, like, it's a great movie from the 80s. I don't remember the name of it. I'm sure in the comments they'll post it. You can look it up on IMDb. But that is also, this movie does a lot of nods to that movie as well. So it's like, yeah, there's a lot of references in this film that point back to things I haven't watched in a very long time. So I'm like,
perfect.
Yeah. Anyway, I've dominated this conversation enough.
My mum used to watch the Denise Austin aerobic videos, like ridiculously, and used to buy them all the time. But that was a time before all of these things became a really popular modern thing. So it was like you didn't have, nothing like what we've got today. So it was like getting a VHS off the shelf was the closest thing, really, for majority of people back then.
Well, it was an era before Soul Cycle. It was an era before what we have. We didn't have Pilates, right? So back then, like for me in the 80s, all you had really were, if you took dance class, that was obviously exercise, sports, obviously. But what you didn't have these things, what came into practice were these huge classes you could take at a gym for doing aerobics. Then aerobics became a huge fad in the 80s when I was in like junior high and high school and then college, but also jazzercise. I remember that was a thing where it was like, you're basically, but I remember running a whole, like I did punk rock yoga and punk rock fitness where we did stuff to like punk rock music. And that was like my thing I did in college. And then I remember going to, goth yoga, goth aerobics, where it's like Bauhaus and stuff. And, it becomes a thing where it's very personalized. But everyone at some point is watching an aerobics show, I think, if you're a certain age. And the thing about this movie, though, it takes place in modern times, right? Even though you think, oh, is this an 80s movie? No. It takes place in modern times. There's cell phones. There's
like the 80s and 70s when she starts her career. And
But also, that was pretty like regular to like if you woke up early enough. This is before streaming that I'm about to describe. If you woke up early enough, you would get the exercise shows right before the morning show, like Good Morning America or the morning news. And it was either like aerobics or yoga, right? That to start off your day, like calisthenics or whatever. And they were always done on a news show or right before a news show. So that's what this is representing. It's not a streaming show. It's on a morning TV show. Like it's an actual TV show.
That's why he gets all excited when she gets moved to like the prime time or whatever.
Yeah, because it is a morning show. I don't think it's shot live only because they had to stop at one point.
No, they do it a weekly show. It's a weekly show that she
recorded. Yeah, and also it's pre-recorded, so it's not live. So it's not like you don't see the chicken wing come out of her butt or whatever.
Hold on, everybody, stop. We have to rewind that.
Can we talk about that scene? Do you want to talk about that scene?
I love my look.
That was so awesome.
It was so amazing. Like
so unexpected. So unexpected. But also I was like, oh, please be an alien. I did not want it to be chicken. I wanted like a chest burster alien scene like from the movie Alien.
When she walked away and she was like touching it, I was like, okay. And then when she started going this, I was like, babe, no.
And it's a slow burn scare because it doesn't just pop out. You see it move like a baby kicking you, or like, like if you're pregnant and they show some. I mean, I don't know if that happens. I've never been pregnant, but when they show like, they show it moving, and you're like, oh, baby. Right, and you're like, what's about to happen? Because I thought maybe another mini me was about to pop out of her because that's how she was born, right? No, this is chicken wing because her old self, Jenna. I love Jenna's interpretive dance of what just happened. That's great, Jenna. That was really good. Can you just mime everything we talk about from here on out because you're doing a really good job of it.
Okay, I'm ready.
It'll be like sign language, only miming, only interpretive dance. Yeah. Here we go. What were some of the let's do some of the grossest scenes. Like what was the scene that made you go, I will never unsee this. This is forever in my brain.
Well, I think we kind of talked about it. The gross ones with the Requiem for a Dream type, gross foul, like spot where you inject.
Yeah.
That grossed me out the most. But probably the at the very beginning when the very first ripped back and the sewing it back together bit was
Sewing it back
like,
it was really well done though. Can I just tell you?
so
like,
well done.
And I was going like, and I felt really bad because I was getting really excited about like the gore and how like the special effects and how good it looked and like how good the movie was. And I felt bad because I was like, people around here think I'm just some psychopath right now because I'm so into this. Because I was like laughing and gleeful at some of the gruesome parts. And I was like, oh no, am I like deranged?
Yeah, but they're funny. They're supposed to be.
She birthed a goddamn titty. I
Oh.
was losing my mind.
No,
I
she
was
threw up a
losing
tit.
my mind.
She didn't birth a tit. She vomited a tit.
Oh, she put the earring on. I'm sorry, when she
The earring! That was so good. That killed me. That was so good.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, ooh, in the mirror. I was like, this is so good.
Also,
Like,
those earrings, there is some symbolism there because the director did another great horror film called Revenge.
Yes.
That the actress has those big star earrings. So there is some symbolism with the big heart earrings and then the diamond earrings. But the level of weirdness of the body, how it keeps transforming into weirder and weirder and weirder and weirder creations. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie The Society. It's from the 80s. It is the weirdest orgy scene ever because it's just oh, you would love it, Jenna. You would love it. We have to watch it. We have to watch it. Add it to the list. Add it to our list.
Society.
It's called The Society, which is also very mean to call a horror film of that level of weirdness and gross something so basic and boring that people might accidentally watch it thinking it's not what it is. I didn't know. I saw it when it came out in the 80s, and I remember going, how are they allowed to show this in theaters? Because I was also living in the Bible Belt. So like the fact that it even got on a mall theater was shocking. It was a late night movie because it was R-rated, but I was like, maybe it predates NC-17 because I think now it probably would be that. But that movie is so good. It's not even, it's the whole movie's fine. And then it's like the last 20 minutes, you're like, holy shit, what is it? What the hell? And that's what this movie is progressively getting to that point, right? So at the last half hour of this movie, I wasn't sure how far they were going to take it. And I was really impressed with how far. And I was really impressed that I did not guess it at all.
No. Well, that is exactly what I turned and I said to my friend when we were watching this. I said, every time I go and see a film, there's pretty much no film that I can't watch. And I'm like, I can see where this is going.
Same.
I reckon this is going here. Always, right? Always.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. Even if it's an incredible
just
film.
fascinating. You couldn't look away.
No, it was like constantly
It was
like
the best train wreck ever.
Yeah, and she would just, and you'd be like, I know it. Oh, motherfucker, what?
Yeah.
And then like you'd be like, okay. And then next bit you're like, and then she'd be like, she's going there. Now she's
I mean, also before it gets even over the top, when she like obviously she's killed herself. So she broke the biggest rule. Well, the other one was trying to kill young Sue and then decided, oh no, I can't do that. But then when she brought her back to life and she saw, oh shit, you were going to try to kill me with a little death kit there. I'm going to kill you. That fight scene, by the way, should go in the lexicon of some of the best fight scenes in cinematic history because it is crazy. The amount of violence that they do to each other in that that end fight scene. But then,
which is also like, you know, like an expression of the amounts of self-hatred that some people have for themselves, you know?
Yeah.
Well, even when she's about to kill her and like she goes and then she decides not to. And it's like that moment, you can see that in that moment, like she would rather, like the fact that she would rather like be nothing, like and just be a hangers-on.
Yeah.
Experience something rather than nothing is so sad. Like you just you just kill the bitch, and then all of a sudden, you know, she's like, nah.
Yeah.
And then you realize that she'd rather just, and I was like, oh, that's so sad. I was like, that's so sad.
But when
it's like the levels that you go to, you know what I mean? Like the levels you will go to.
And also that's an interesting scene because I think that scene when she decides last minute not to kill young Sue, not to kill herself. I shouldn't say kill herself, not to kill this younger version of herself.
She's already gone part way through putting that black shit in her, man. She's already like gone most of the way. So like,
I mean, it is interesting how they try to break the rules by hoarding the liquid by doing all this stuff that you know is not going to end well, right? You know, like she was warned sort of by, you know, the older guy in the diner saying, you know, you got to have find the balance, which I think is also very loaded instructions, right? Of how to find the balance between young self, old self, right?
And they keep saying it over and over again. You are one, you are one, you are one. Like,
Yeah.
they're just not real specific. And I wonder about this though. If they really told you all the dangers at the very beginning, I think she still would have taken it. I think
they would have taken it.
Yeah.
So many people
would.
Look at the look at
This
reality.
movie has made me even more afraid of plastic surgery than I already was. Like, I'm never getting Botox.
And that's the thing. Injectables are supposed to be the thing to do instead of plastic surgery. That's why they're so popular with a lot of women that want a change to their face. There's this great interview. There's this great interview with actress Courtney Cox, who everyone knows from Friends, but she's been in so many things. She's been in Scream. She's been in a lot of different things. She's had a lot of filler done, a lot of things done, and she's very candid. I think it's a Marie Claire interview or Vogue, where she talks about a lot of herself and a lot of women her age, a lot of fellow actresses. I know this from my friends that are older than me and friends that are younger than me in their 40s and 30s that get filler done. And basically filler, all it does is what it sounds like. It fills your lips or it fills your cheeks. So if you have hollows.
That shit's got to go someplace. And I'm telling you, this stuff still hasn't been around long enough. And they're going to.
Oh, I agree. But the problem.
They're going to find out like all the extra side effects of all these things, which is why I'm.
Yeah. But the problem too is that if you get it done a lot, they all start looking the same. Like you can kind of. It's kind of like the plastic surgery. I always knew from my friends who was going to the same plastic surgeon because certain plastic surgeons have signature things that they do. And I'm like, oh, you're all going to the doctor so-and-so. But this was interesting because Courtney Cox said in this interview, she didn't even realize how much her face had changed because filler is such a short process. You do it once a month, maybe every 6 months. And you don't notice because you're looking at yourself every day. So you don't notice the change unless you see someone you haven't seen in a month or a year. And they're like, holy shit, what'd you do to your face? But you're used to it. So you don't realize it. So there's this trend in Hollywood, trend in LA even, or I should say even, that's not a shock, that a lot of women are.
Even LA. Oh no.
LA. Like if you watch
LA people.
You know what? I'm not going to demonize LA because I'm just going to say it right now. The Real Housewives in all the cities do it. So I will say the Real Housewives shows you can see, and these aren't actresses. These are just, reality TV stars with money. So these are women that are getting this done because they are emulating their favorite actresses that are doing this. So I thought it was an interesting thing that like Courtney Love said that Pamela Anderson, who by the way is going to be hopefully up for Oscar for The Last Showgirl because that looks amazing. Pamela Anderson's now doing this thing where she's not wearing makeup in public. She's very much like saying I'm not, and she's had a lot of plastic surgery done because of her career. I'm finding it interesting that there's now, I wouldn't say a backlash, but just more of an essence of women saying, hey, we've been doing this for a long time and it's not really helping our mental state. It's not really helping us.
Because there's all these ramifications. Like I've got so many friends who have been filling their lips and stuff with filler for so long, and you need to get it done every 3 months, and it runs out. And you need to do it again.
Or you do too much and you have to do this thing. One of my friends who's a drag queen said that.
It and shit.
Well, one of my friends who's a drag queen said that there's a lot of drag queens that are professional drag queens that now get a lot of filler done because they just don't want to have to just do the makeup, be the transformation. And there's a Chicago drag queen, and I won't name names, but she basically got so much collagen put in her lips that she didn't realize during the winter time, you can't close your mouth when you do that. So her lips were getting frostbitten. And so she had to have special stuff put on her lips that kept it from getting frostbite, but also she couldn't close her mouth. And also if you get too much on the upper lip, it makes the lip, everything around here fall. So you have to get plastic surgery all around your mouth if you get too much collagen because your skin around your lips it doesn't have the structural integrity to basically hold up heavy lips because that's not how your face was built. So you're basically doing plastic surgery to fix the plastic surgery to fix filler. So it's just like it's just a cycle that happens.
I'll just deal with wrinkles and shit. I'm sorry. I'm
That's good though.
And I don't want to, and also anyone watching, I don't want to plastic surgery shame anyone. I think there's some people it really helps them. I don't want to ever do that. Yeah.
This film also brings up not only the things that you will do to make yourself better or to make you love yourself, but there's also a whole thing around people shaming women for wanting to do things as well, and that
Yeah.
really, that's fucked as well. Like, I hate women being pit against each other, and I hate women, you know, with this internalized kind of toxicity about having to tear down other women and
I
things
agree.
about their looks and whatnot. It's not good. It's not cool. I won't. I'm not.
And
having
it's hard too because, like, you know, we compare. I think, and maybe I don't want to superimpose my. I don't want to project my issues onto you guys, and because everyone's different. But like, I can scan a room real quick and know. I never think I'm the hottest girl in the room unless I'm the only girl in the room. And even then I'm not the hottest girl in the room. Wink, wink. So like, I don't ever think that way, but I always look at like, okay, you know, you scan a room, right? You see who's hot, you see who's got interesting features, you see who's dressed well. It's just something we do as humans. It's not a survival. I don't want to say it's a survival thing from caveman days.
I know where you're coming from though, Bonnie, because I've talked about this before as well. There is a part, they say, like with if you think of it in a more like simple terms, like looking at animals, like you look for who's going to be the best partner. You know what I mean? And
like birds do that too with their plumage. Yeah, all of that. Yeah.
And it's like there is a part of us that like just without even, you know, you want to attract someone, you know, like there's a part of you that's always going to be looking for something that's better or that you perceive as being good or whatnot. Like, and there's no shame in that either. Like, I feel like nowadays, you know, you like what you like, okay? Like you like what you like.
You're attracted to what you're attracted to.
Exactly.
I mean, I never dated pretty, by the way. So like the guys I dated, on the whole, most of them, I wouldn't say were handsome. They were interesting, right? Like I would say they had interesting, like they had good cheekbones, but also maybe they were kind of wonky looking. Like I feel like they were either British hot, like they were like, well, it's like Noel Fielding, right? From some of you may know him from Great British Break Off. I know him from The Mighty Boosh, but he is an interesting looking gentleman. He is, I think they make fun of him and say he's all angles, right? Because he's not what you would call Hollywood handsome. He's British handsome, which can be different, or rock star handsome, which can be different. So I never dated guys. In fact, I didn't trust guys that were super hot. I think I thought, oh, that's a Ted Bundy. Like, I think I always thought super hot guys that wanted to date me, they were wanting to kill me. Like, I never believed that they liked me. Yeah, I never believed they liked me for me. They were either, oh, you work for Lucasfilm. Like, I always thought, oh, they want to better their career, or they want to murder me. Like, those were the options. Those were the options. My mental state was never, they like me, they're using me, or they want to kill me. I'm working on that in therapy, so don't worry. But then the women, but also the women I dated, I always dated women that were gorgeous, but I didn't think I would keep them long. So for me, it was, well, I'm dating, I get my turn, and then they're going to go on to someone better. Like, that's how I always thought when I was dating women. But dating men, it was always dating kind of guys that were a little Picasso, little interesting looking. They weren't classic. But again, I'm not attracted by looks per se. I'm kind of attracted by their style, what they talk about. Like, it's not really like face value, judge a book by its cover. It's more like, well, what are you presenting to the conversation? Are you funny? You have to be funny. I don't want anyone. I can't date anyone without a sense of humor.
Yeah, you want it all. Jenna wants it all, and I'm terrible. I do too.
Well, now I'm not dating at all. So now I'm just lazy sexual. So, I mean, if we're gonna be honest here, my sexuality is lazy sexual, and we don't get a parade because we're too lazy to form a parade.
Lazy sexual. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I even pretend that the L and the LGBTQT, that's just lazy. That just stands for lazy, not lesbian. I did a whole stand-up routine about this the other, like, I think it was like a month ago, and people were like slow clapped for lazy sexual because we've just gotten to this era now with apps where we don't want to put in any extra work at all, ever again, never again. So I'm glad that you put that extra effort into your date, Jenna, by making him watch this movie, because that's genius. And I'm going to steal that idea.
I didn't really know exactly what I was getting into, but it was great. It's good. I had a great time.
It works.
Honestly, I feel like you could raise money for a charity if it was like the highest bidder gets to go see The Substance with Jenna Haze. That's like that's $1 million bid right there. That's $1 million bid. You should consider that for a charity.
You can go tell the guy how lucky he is then.
He is lucky. If you're watching now, dude, you're so damn lucky. Honestly. Actually, you shouldn't even have taken him to a movie. You should have just taken him to an escape room and then turn off all the lights and just sit in it and see what he did. That's a better test.
Oh my god, I don't want to, like, I like second dates, Bonnie.
I just assume since you are you, why would anyone not want to go on a second date with you? Like, if I looked like you, Jenna, do you know how many psychological warfare dates I would go on just to see if I could break people?
Oh my god!
I would. I'd be like, okay, we're gonna take a tour. We're gonna go on a tour of a slaughterhouse. We're gonna go get lipo, couples lipo.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, I would never.
I'm a horrible
You're
person.
trying to tell me that I'm too nice. Is that the thing?
No, I'm telling you I'm a psychopath.
Okay, so
anyway, back to the movie.
Back to the movie.
So maybe
Anyway.
the sweet spot is somewhere in the middle.
Can we talk about
Let's talk about it.
Let's don't. I want to talk about damn you to hell.
I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, no, let's talk about the color palette and visuals.
Yeah, color palette.
Please.
By the way, why would anyone have a bathroom that white, that bright? That seems like
I actually wrote down in my notes, I was like, her bathroom is harsh as fuck.
Right?
She's got like a really severe, brutal bathroom, which is reflective of the beauty of the way that we view ourselves and the brutality that we subject on ourselves.
Right.
Yeah, well, it's like, I was thinking it's like, like super like sterile environment that kind of is enforcing, this kind of the sort of societal control and like all of that stuff. Like I really like it. Everything is very harsh, like in those scenes, very, very harsh, abrupt. Like, when you know that feeling, like, I mean, when you're in a hospital or anything like that, like obviously I've had recent hospital experiences like over a year ago that still stick with me, but like when you're in that horrible, it's the most foreign, terrifying experience when you're in that bright white light and there's fucking machines and implements and all this
it's
shit.
MRI, so like the rooms in MRIs are always like that. Hospital rooms are like that. Sometimes mental hospitals, if they put a hold on you, they're like that. Let's not get into that. And then also like, I would say the harshest lighting for anyone is a Nordstrom's changing room and that bathroom. That bathroom, very Shining-esque. I think that was.
Okay, so yesterday I gave like a talk at a university. No, day before yesterday I had to give a talk at a university, and like I was in like this library room, and the lights were like these awful like office fluorescent lights, and I was just like, I was horrified by the lighting in there, and it just felt like, and it kind of made my eyes feel all wonky.
Yeah.
Anyways, go on.
The first time I got my own office in an office, I changed the light bulbs. I will say that when I was working corporate and in an office, even at Lucasfilm, when I had my own office, I took out all the fluorescents and put in like nice lighting that was kinder because I was just like, I can't. I had like a lamp you would have in your living room. Like I was just like, I can't do overhead fluorescents because they also make you kind of crazy because especially if you don't have an office window and you just have an office that has no window, you have no idea what time it is. Your body has no idea.
I don't like that shit.
Yeah,
I don't like bathrooms without windows too. Whenever I check into a hotel, if the bathroom has no windows, I don't like it. And most bathrooms in hotels don't have windows
anymore.
Yeah, that's true. I never know. You're right.
And I don't like it. I like a window in my bathroom, please.
I like it.
That lighting was so harsh, but also she had it on the brightest setting. So I was just like, can't she get a dimmer and be nicer to herself? But I don't know. I'm sure that was obvious what it was for the movie.
Oh, yeah, it was deliberate. It was deliberate, like harsh whites.
Well, yeah,
and then
because it's also like
more ominous
that we subject ourselves to, and the harsh, like, the light is supposed to be reflective of that and an artistic.
Yeah, but that bathroom was really creepy too.
Yeah, and if you are someone who likes to put on makeup, that like, when you go to the bathroom, the harsher and the wider the light is, the better your makeup's going.
Well, they used to have those. Remember, so this might be old Bonnie talking. But when we were young, old Bonnie, listen, elder geek, elder goth is talking. We used to get these makeup mirrors, and they would have it for daytime, afternoon, and evening lighting, right? And so it was different light. Do they still have those? Do they still have lights that are for daytime, nighttime for putting on makeup?
I
For
think
makeup
so.
Yeah,
artists?
they do. I
Do
have
they
like
have
one of
the
those like
daytime,
light
nighttime?
up like rechargeable like stand things because I'm old school and I'm used to one of those. So I have one.
Yeah, I have the light. I have the light bulbs, you know, like on the mirror that go
It's
around.
got
But there's
different-
no,
Okay.
like-
Yeah, you have the pearl. It's like the one
Yeah.
for pearl. Like,
yeah, that's exactly what I have.
yeah. You have the I'm a star. I'm a star lighting. Yeah.
I'm a star lighting, exactly. Because
We
like,
used to put those like showgirls lighting because every stripper like makeup room has those with the lights that go. Yeah.
go around. Yeah. Also, but you go into another room and you're horrified. Like, so like if you put your makeup on and it's a bit too dark in the room, and then you walk into a room and you're like, motherfucker, how come no one told me I didn't blend properly? Or
Well, the problem I have with bright lighting, as we can tell, is I always forget to put on
I will
blush.
always
I always look like a ghost because I never put on blush. I always forget to do that. And so the
Why do
brighter
you
the light,
blush is so important.
I always forget. I know. I went and put them on.
Okay,
During
so
the,
when you're doing your makeup, they say that you should always do like this is what I was told at one point too. It's like in order to not get too heavy with like lips or eyes, a lot of times it's good to put on like your cheeks and your eyebrows because once those are on, you don't usually tend to need as much on the eyes or the lips. At least that's what I was told once. But
I'm a graduate of the Barbizon modeling school. I know.
Oh, there you go.
My parents, I begged my parents to let me do that because I was a weird neurodivergent kid who didn't know what. I wasn't a thing yet. I was a nerd. I was a nerd divergent. Neurodivergent wasn't a thing yet. So I thought the reason that people didn't like me. Now I know the reasons people don't like me, but I thought back then it was because I didn't look right. I didn't put makeup on. And so I wanted to be like the popular girls. So I convinced my parents to let me go through Barbizon, which is kind of it does teach you makeup, but it kind of teaches like 13-year-olds how to look like 43-year-olds. It doesn't, because it's 80s makeup, right? So it's like very heavy. It's not like natural. Like you can take your pick now of anything, but back then it was either no makeup or you look like a 40-year-old divorcee at age 13. Like there's not a lot of in between.
Nothing wrong with 40-year-olds.
There's nothing wrong with 40-year-olds unless you're 13. Like you don't want to look like you're 43 at 13. You want to look like you're 43 when you're 43 or 50 or whatever. So anyway, my point is I did learn how to do the makeup, but it was as soon as I graduated I tried to get the popular girls to like me. They still hated me. So then I went full goth. So basically I ruined that whole time at Barbizon and just went goth. But I try to look somewhat presentable, but I always have lipstick. I think that's a Southern thing. Even if you've just escaped your kidnapper, you still can't go outside without lipstick. So that's something I've always put on. But it is interesting as I get older, I'm kind of paying attention to things. But also, I'm pretty good at hiding my age. I don't know if the purple over the gray helps. I don't know if it's the fact I never see sunlight willingly. I don't know. It could be just genetics. I don't know because I hope I don't look 53. I don't care if I look 53, but I hope I don't. It was one of those things when I was doing job interviews. Well, doing job interviews was painful because I was you have to do video interviews and recruiters kept like hinting. They can't legally ask you your age, but they're kind of hinting at it. And if they figure out you're old, then you're not hired because you have quote unquote too much experience, not because you're old. So I kept trying to figure out tricks to try to make myself at least look not in the right age group. And the hair dye was one, makeup's one, angles, whatever. But watching this movie
also helps, though, Bonnie. I will say.
I'm sorry, what? What was that?
Being a goth also helps.
Yeah, I never see the sun. So I think my vitamin D levels are atrociously low, but at least I don't have skin cancer to worry about, at least not from the sun. So sorry, also, Renee with her fan. Can we say how like model-esque you are right now with the fan blowing on you? It's very like 80s model.
Excuse
me.
You
do kind of look like that. You do look like a Charlie's Angel with and then the fan.
There you go.
Whoop, whoop. It's hot. Sorry, I just realized it. But anyway, continue, babes.
No, and also like I'm doing a podcast with two of the most gorgeous women I know, so I always try to. I'm talking about you too. So I always have to feel like I have to like kind of up my game a little bit.
You do not look anywhere near 50. Nowhere. Nowhere.
And also, I do want to talk about there have been some comparisons in this movie to Ozempic, and I want to say
I wrote that down when I came out of the movie theater.
And I want to say I've been on semaglutide, so I've done Ozempic, but the generic version, and also my insurance never covered it. So that's $100 a shot, and that's 4 shots a month. And that put me in. I'm in debt because of it, but I ended up losing 70 pounds, and I lost 70.
Girl, that's almost me.
I lost to Jenna. I lost to Jenna. But
95
I
pounds
kept
right
that.
now.
Here's the thing. I've had eating issues my whole life. I've had diet issues my whole life. I've been everything you can imagine. I have had that eating situation happen, right? So I don't want to name them. I don't want to name them by names because then again, I don't want to get in trouble with monetization or whatever. But I started my eating troubles, my eating issues at age 8, and I've always had them. And so COVID made them, I think at their worst, they made me the heaviest because I started binge eating during COVID. And I did that as comfort. And I didn't realize it was self-harm, not self-care. I went through rehab for it. I'm in support groups. I'm in counseling. I'm fine. But Ozempic, I took it because I was pre-diabetic, not because of the weight issue. And all of us that were taking it for pre-diabetes or diabetes didn't know the side effect was losing weight. And the side effect then became its selling point. That's why everyone started taking it who didn't have diabetes issues. Since I lost the weight, though, my blood sugars are fine. My cholesterol's fine. I have energy. I'm not as lethargic. I still have to be mindful of not falling into different disorders and depression and that sort of thing. I also have to be mindful not abusing it. And this movie was very interesting to me when she decided to break the rules about the injections, because that's what I did. So there's a threshold of how much. Well, there's a threshold of how much you're supposed to take. Because if you take too much, you can kill yourself. You can die by accident.
Okay,
I shouldn't say kill yourself.
Taking a dark turn.
Well, here's the thing. I didn't. I'm still here. I'm not a ghost. I'm still here. But I did find myself, because I lost the weight, and I lost it over a year. I didn't lose like 70 pounds in a month. I lost it over a year. But because I was keeping it off for the first time in my life, and people were reacting different, people were hitting on me for the first time in like decades. I could wear clothes I really wanted to wear that I was always jealous that other girls got to wear. And I started to have self-confidence again. So I was doing more stand-up. I was doing more front of camera stuff. I wanted to lose more and more. And so I doubled my dosage when I shouldn't have. And I had took the most you're supposed to take. And then after that, you're not allowed to take anymore. In fact, doctors could get sued for malpractice for giving it to you. It's a gray area, right? But then I was like, no, I want more. And I went too fast, too much 1 month. And I had the worst side aches, pains. I couldn't move. And I stopped doing that. And I went back to the dosage you're supposed to be on, because I found out women were dying because they were basically destroying their intestines, destroying their stomach. Yeah. So, and that's not because
this scares me way more than the movie.
Well, but the movie, I was watching this movie, and Stu is abusing the dosage because she doesn't want to leave her body and have her old self take over, right? But also she just wants to stay young.
Career obsessed. She's like super focused on it. Well, and another part of the movie that was like really stand out to me, like this.
But the very first time she takes the substance, so all that pain in the bathroom when she's literally, her body literally is transforming a brand new coming outside of her back. So of course that's gonna be painful because we don't see her take, like, no one told her, maybe, I don't know, smoke some pot or take some anesthesia.
The director thought of that scene first. And
really?
She thought of it while she was in the shower.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because if I knew that was going to happen, I would be taking a lot of painkillers before I injected the substance. Because the first time you take Ozempic, by the way, it affects everybody differently. And I'll just say semaglutide because it's like, there's different brand names, Wegovy, whatever. Mounjaro is a different chemical, but it's similar. It's called different things in different countries, but it's an injectable, right? And it's supposed to like make you eat it makes you feel full faster. You don't eat as much, and you don't have food brain, which is what I have, which I'm constantly thinking about food. So and also, you need to like have therapy and all that other stuff, and really think about why you're using food as self-harm and comfort food when you shouldn't. Like, I'm not saying people shouldn't eat. Everyone should eat. It's just, why are you eating the amounts you're eating, or why are you eating and then throwing up or whatever? So, or exercising too much. That's also a form that people seem to forget, that you can over-exercise and that can be a thing. So anyway, when you first take that shot and you eat normal, you will have the most excruciating pain ever, because it's trying to tell you you can't eat that much food anymore, because it slows down. It literally slows down your digestive tract. So you will vomit instantly if you eat normal after you take the first shot. And so it retrains you not to eat as much and not as frequent. But I thought about that a lot when I saw this scene, because I know a lot of people are making comparisons to Ozempic in this movie, because it is women. When you hit menopause or premenopause, your metabolism's gone. So I gained weight a lot last year, or a couple years ago, because I went through menopause. And so my body was like, I guess we're not going to be healthy anymore. Like, it was just, you feel like your body is also against you at all times when you get to a certain age. And I felt like, my warranty is out. My warranty's gone. Yeah. So this movie was very poignant for me on so many levels, as someone who is in their 50s and someone who is dealing with that feeling that your body is against you, that your body, but also it was very interesting because I also have to remind myself that I am very grateful to be here. I'm very grateful that I have the health that I do and the healthcare that I do. Very grateful that I'm here right now with you, instead of wishing I was someone else. And I think this movie is also a good lesson in, hey, maybe how you are right now is awesome, instead of wishing you were 20 again, or wishing you were 105, or wishing that everyone loved you and adored you. Maybe it's okay, because she regrets that. Like you said earlier, I would have stopped at the witch finger. Like,
I
a lot
would
of us
have
would
stopped at the witch finger. But then
Right?
also, I mean, but the reason why I think that she also like keeps going and extending it at the detriment of Demi Moore's half of the character isn't just because she doesn't want to like go through the pain or whatever. It's because she has this like pressure of fame now, and this like addiction to this attention and this validation that she's getting, and this amazing dopamine rush and serotonin rush and all this stuff that she's getting from this, newfound career boost and everything. And it's interesting because I think that's another aspect of the film that's highlighted is how, when you become part of, the celebrity world or the entertainment world, the pressures to stay young, the pressures to have your name in the limelight all the time, like how that starts to feel when you become not the hot topic anymore and you're being replaced. When she sees that advertisement for the first time, like, who's the next Elizabeth Sparkle? Like, oh my God, the feeling that must be in her stomach. Like, but it's something that happens, and it's a natural progression of stardom and fame. Like, and I think it's something that needs to be talked about more in the entertainment sphere of how that does impact,
and we all like, everyone has it,
like, and how it affects their psyche and how it affects their emotional processes. For sure. Sorry, I got all psychological on it.
No, I mean, and also you have, but see, it's interesting you're talking about this because, you have been in this world. You have been front of camera actress. You have been famous. You still are famous. You still have a zillion fans. You are very much an it girl. You're very much, you know what I mean? Like, you know this world intimately.
I was, darling. I was at one time.
Well, yeah, but you still have a huge fandom because of your front of camera.
I do, all right. Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know how you're so sane and grounded, because I would go and, I mean, if I was
like, well, let me tell you.
You don't see the difference between me and Renee. I'm just kidding.
I'm serious. It's like, you could be such a bitch because you are beautiful and famous and unsuccessful, and you're not. You're like the most down-to-earth, funny, cool girl. Like, you're the cool it girl. You're not just gorgeous superstar. Like, if I was a gorgeous superstar, I don't know if I would be as funny. You know what I mean? I don't know if because funny is the way we try to get attention when we're not the gorgeous superstar. At least be entertaining. I remember being told at a very young age, if you're not gorgeous,
being funny. Yeah, I like being
if you're not gorgeous, at least be fun, at least be entertaining, right? If you're going to talk, at least be funny at some point. Like, just don't. But then there's, so I haven't had the thrill of being famous in front of camera acting like you have. Like, I bet that were there points in this movie where you're like, yeah, I get what that feels like.
Yeah, I mean, even when like they like pan across her like awards and she's like reflecting, you know, and she's like older and she's like reflecting on like she has this beautiful like portrait in her house. I have a beautiful portrait in my house. I have like a row of awards in my house. So yeah, there were a couple shots where I was like, oh, you know, because I'm you know in my early 40s now, you know, and most of my fame was achieved like my peak years, I would say, are in my, you know, late 20s. So, you know, that was a little while ago. You know, and even though like I'm doing other things and I'm like, you know, I'm onto a different career and I'm maintaining my celebrity status to some degree and everything like that, it's still a different sort of like limelight. It's a different sort of attention. It's a different sort of feeling and like rush as like when you are at that peak of your like one career. But the thing I think that's important to realize that also highlighted in this is that we are not just limited to one sort of aspect of our lives or one sort of like, you know, part of our accomplishment of our lives. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing with her is that she could have like taken this and been like, okay, this chapter of my life is done. What am I going to do next? Let's do let's do a line of like cookbooks, or like, let's do like a line of like, you know, fitness wear, or like, let's do like some sort of like coaching for younger, you know what I mean? Like you could have like been like, okay, like my time for this is past. And I think that that's something that's also highlighted in this is that we all have to realize that like everything is temporary, right? Like everything has its peak and its valleys and everything has the highs and the lows and like what, like when you're at this peak, it's not always going to be that way. But the thing is that doesn't mean that that's your only peak.
Right.
Like there are other things. And I think that people sometimes try to limit themselves in their own viewpoint or their own little sphere where they're like, okay, well, this is what I am. I am exactly this and this is all I am. And they kind of like, you know, and then they have their peak and their fall in that. And then they think that that's all that they have left to like, they don't have anything left to give. But it's like, no, like, what about something else? Like, I mean, I did adult films and everything for a while. And then I did like I deep dived into education and things like that and getting my degrees, you know, and now I work in mental health care and it's, you know, I love that. People are always like, why? It's funny when I was in porn, people are like, why'd you do porn? And then I left and people are like, why'd you leave porn? And it's like, well, you know, what if this is my only life that I have? I don't want to do one thing for my entire life. Like I want to have other things that I'm accomplished at and other things that I can be like, wow, I had this adventure and then I had this adventure and then I had this adventure, you know, and I live life like, who knows? I may do therapy for 10 years and then be like, I want to go do this now. Like,
yeah, that's another thing. Like when I meet people for the first time, and I'm working on this because I think this is part of dealing with childhood PTSD and, you know, was this called, Jenna? I think it's called CT PTSD or something that you're always
complex stress disorder. Yeah.
That. So I'm always auditioning. Yeah. Anytime
which also has a lot of overlap with neurodivergence. So it's very interesting.
It does. Yeah. I just got assessed for that. So like I know what I do. I do this all the time. When I meet people, like I went to that party last weekend. I talk a lot because I'm trying to get people.
Now we're in therapy session with Dr. Jen.
Now we're doing therapy with Dr. Jenna. And
I'm just joking. This is not therapy. I don't have a license.
No, but one thing I do is I talk about things that I've done in my past because I've done a lot of different things. And one of the people at the party is like, oh my God, is there anything you haven't done? It feels like you've done everything. You've done roller derby, you were in a band, you did modeling, you've been a writer, you worked for Playboy, you worked for Lucasfilm, you worked for, you know, Stan Lee, you did all these. And I'm like, yeah, but I didn't think I was gonna last this long, first of all. So I didn't know I was gonna be this old. So I tried to jam pack my life.
Well, that's dark.
Well, no, I'm trying to spin it. I will spin it in positivity, I promise. I did not think I was going to live long, so I tried to do everything I ever wanted to do in my life because I didn't know when my end scene would be, right? So I tried to do everything that interested me. So I mean, I've always been a writer, but I pivoted to lots of careers and lots of interests. But also, I was in 2 bands. I was horrible in those bands, but at least I did it because then I was like, I will never say.
Band? Oh man, I want to do
right.
That.
So I will never say, oh, what was that like? And I was a go-go dancer, and I danced at different, you know, places, and I went on tour with bands as a dancer, and I've worked in like written murder mystery games, and I've done like I did roller derby. I did roller derby. By the way, I do not recommend roller derby because if you live this long, everything you've ever broken comes to haunt you at a certain age. And I've broken a lot of things. But this is the thing. You try to put you try to make the most out of your life because this is it. You only get one life unless you remember all your past lives. You only get one life. So you might as well do what you want and have fun and take risks and do different things. And I think what you just said, Jenna, about all the things you pivoted to, that's because you want to have a rich life. You want to do and Renee, you're the same way. You've done a lot of different cool things. You don't want to just be known for one thing. And sadly, this character in this movie is only known for one thing. And then when her time ran out,
that's something that I kind of related to I kind of related to in this movie as well. Sorry, that did not come out very well. I tried to talk. And it like didn't.
I get it.
It didn't match, and now I just lost it. Never mind, y'all.
No. You said you related to being known for one thing.
Oh yeah, because like I get a lot of comments on my page where people will be like, people are always gonna remember you as like, the girl who like did these porn movies, and I'm just like, yeah, so what? Like, am I supposed to be like upset about that? Cool. I'm glad that's how people might have gotten introduced to me, but that's not like all that I am. And it's not
exactly.
But there's no way in hell I'm going to be ashamed about it because it was an awesome part of my life, but people are always trying to like take that dig, and I kind of felt that like vibe with her in this movie where it was kind of like, this is like her whole persona. This is like all that she really has. Like, yeah, she was in a movie and won like some Oscar or something back in the day, they said. But she became like this, this fitness guru, and that's like kind of how she is. And now they're aging her out. Oh my God, how brutal would it have been to hear that conversation in that bathroom stall?
Yeah.
Like, just
what? I've that's how this is the problem with unisex bathrooms and gender-free bathrooms is you might actually have to hear guys talking shit about you at work because that happened to me a few times. But also, I've had that happen to me a few times where I'm like, oh shit, that's how they really think of me. Yeah, it's pretty brutal. But also, like, I thought it was interesting in this movie that she's given a second chance to be a younger version. And instead of doing something else, she literally auditions to be.
Well, no, she doesn't because she doesn't want someone else to have that, to take that role.
Oh, is that why? Okay, that makes a little more sense. Because I was like, if I was given a second chance, I would have done something a little different, like maybe go back to acting or something.
No. She can't stand the idea that someone else
will replace her. Okay, that makes sense.
Her.
Okay, that makes sense.
Also, that's like all. I feel like that's kind of like all her whole identity, which is why I think it's important that people be diverse and have a whole bunch of interests in their life and not just one thing, because then you become like, I'm sure that Elizabeth Sparkle wasn't her real name. So I'm sure that she's over identifying with this, like, character.
That almost sounded like an adult film name or drag queen name. I mean, there is like, that felt like it felt like
she's so hot when she's doing the aerobics at the beginning and it's her tape. She's still so hot.
I know.
She's so hot. I love
my love for Demi Moore goes all the way back to like I think St. Elmo's Fire. That's when I fell in love with her. Wow. But I've also tried to emulate her look since I was a teenager. Really? But also,
I don't think I was tell you hers until this movie.
Is it the second Charlie's Angels movie that Demi Moore and or not Demi Moore? I'm sorry. That Demi Moore's in it. But is it the second? It's the second one, right? That's the Drew Barrymore, Cameron Diaz, Lucy Liu. Charlie's Angels, I think it's the second movie that Demi Moore is like one of the angels that retired. And when she does that, when she comes out of the ocean with her surfboard, and I think she was in her 40s, I was like, I think Demi Moore's getting hotter. So like when you look at, and I don't want to be totally shallow, but here's the thing. It is interesting she's in this movie because I think she looks better now than she did in her 20s and in her 30s. Because also she's more than her looks because she's also very confident. She's also dealt with a lot of stuff personally, being married to Bruce Willis for a long time, but then also marrying Ashton Kutcher or being with Ashton. I mean, those are two different levels. I will say that it feels like she dated two different generations of toxic males and survived. So like, I don't know how she did it, but she's also her own person and her own. So they did a documentary called The Brat Pack, which is about, the actors in the 80s. And Andrew McCarthy interviews her. And her interview is like, get over it, because he's like upset that he thinks he's been pigeonholed and his career stymied in the 80s because they made them into these brats. It's like the Rat Pack, but it's called the Brat Pack.
Right, I've heard of it.
It's because of Breakfast Club and like Judd Nelson and Molly Ringwald and all these actors. And so he goes and he interviews all these teen actors and asks them, was this detrimental to your career? He gets to Demi Moore and she's like, no, it's fine. Like, she's like, so like, yeah, who cares? Like, she's so like she's so self-confident, but also so comfortable in her own skin as a person that the fact that she's in a movie that is literally about not being comfortable in your own skin. And I thought that was very interesting that I can't picture anyone else in this role, by the way.
Yeah, well, what's funny? None of us can, because it's like she seems like the absolute antithesis. But the funny thing is that she wasn't the first choice for this film.
Oh, really?
No, she wasn't. And also the director didn't think that Demi Moore would want to do it because she's so in control of what she looks like, etc.
Right.
I didn't think she wouldn't want to do it because it would be too much of a risk, to make a film like this. And it was the Demi's agent that forced her to read for it. Like, even though, they didn't think that she would actually want to do it.
It is interesting because Demi Moore, like a lot of the stuff that she's been in recently, I wouldn't say recently, I'd say the last 20 years. So you have Striptease, which was great. You have, was it Striptease? It was Striptease, right? She was also, like I said, in the Charlie's Angels movie. She's also in a Diamond Heist movie that takes place in the 50s with Michael Caine. That's really good. So she's playing a lot of different roles. But I think this role is the role that's going to get her an Oscar. And I think this role is the role that's going to redefine her career as an actress. And I really think that this is a great turning point for cinema, especially with older actresses, especially with the content, especially with genre films being taken more seriously.
Yeah, and just like taking something that's got horror in it and fucking finally giving recognition to films that make so much difference that people normally ignore.
And also, we have to say, woman director, because that's another thing that we still lack in this industry, is giving women directors a chance, giving them any kind of accolades, making them feel like they're of equal status with other directors who are male that basically get, everything on a silver plate handed to them, where a lot of women really have to still fight in this industry just to get a budget for these movies. And this movie was not cheaply made, but I guarantee you it's making more than enough money back. I'm guaranteeing
it's made its budget back.
More in a heartbeat.
Ladies, I have a lot of notes that I haven't gotten.
Oh yeah, let's go through them. All right, Jenna. All right, Jenna, let's do them all.
Okay, here we go.
Let's do it.
So when she goes to the place to pick up the package for the first time, and she like scans the thing, and then the door only opens like a little bit. And I think that is purposeful. I think it's purposeful that the people are wanting the person to like have to crawl underneath to make them feel like, I saw that and I was like, because it opened up low both times. I gotta plug my laptop in or else it's gonna die.
Would you?
It looks like a trap house as well. Like,
it does look like a trap house. I was thinking that too. I'm like, well, she is buying a drug illegally. So I don't want to like.
I think it works, right? Because it's kind of like
I don't want to like. I don't want to incriminate myself, but let's just say I've done that. I've bought things
many
illegally.
People I think have done worse for something, right?
And sometimes those places are not great to go get your drugs at. Now everything's delivered, but back then, no.
Like, it is, right? It's like we're talking about things that are in extremes. And so, and when you're going to extreme lengths for something, there's going to be sometimes extreme consequences, but also like things you need to do in order to get there. And of course, you're going to have to do some dodgy shit to go and get this black market, like change you into the amazing person. It's not going to be on the shelf at the supermarket, right? So,
did you also notice that like they really highlighted in like 3 shots, and when she goes to pick up the packages, there's like an extermination sign on the wall that's also the same color as her jacket. It's like that bright yellow. And they kept showing it like, and I was like, I wonder if this was intentional, like the extermination. And then of course, like my stoned brain went down like this weird path where I was like, and I wrote down this weird shit. Hold on. I was like, they focused on the yellow extermination sign a few times. Could the substance be derived from something that they found in cockroaches and their ability to replicate and duplicate so quickly? And then I was like, what if there's some sort of like insect like chemical that's in insects that makes it so that you know, that's exactly what I said. And then I was like, and they have this extermination. Then I was like, well, maybe the substance is also like some secret way for them to like exterminate like old vain people who are just like very focused on their looks and just like, you're old, get out of here. Because there's a line in the movie. Hold on, I wrote it down. There's a line.
I love where you're going with this.
There's a what?
I say I love where you're going with this. This is such a cool, this is such a cool angle. I'm glad that you caught that.
Well, I don't know, because it's also like the color of the substance is like so weird. It reminds me of some kind of like insect killer or something. And oh my God, that bitch is brave to inject that into herself. Because I gotta tell you, like injecting something into myself to begin with, but then you give it that color, and I am not putting that in my body. Like you are really, 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 really vain. Okay. But there's a line in this movie where that they say that, I don't remember what it is, but I wrote it down. It says that you still deserve to exist. And so I guess, is that what she's saying to herself or something? I can't remember. But I wrote it down. It says that you still deserve to exist. And then I wrote down, as if being old is no life at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also in our comments, John Peter says it's like the color of the liquid in the Reanimator, which is also a great movie about, you know, it is what it sounds like a Frankenstein monster kind of movie. It's also kind of tropey, right? I think if you watch Powerpuff Girls, the liquid is also bright green. So I think it's like a trope in sci-fi horror, especially that whatever chemical X is always has to be this bright neon green liquid, and it comes in again and again and again in a lot of like horror and sci-fi where someone's taking something. I think even if you read the original Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde book, the description of the drink is green as well. I'm sorry, what?
No,
I yawned.
And I was like, oh, it's daytime there, bitch. What are you doing? What are you doing? It's okay.
Wait, what did Renee just do? I missed it. What are you doing?
Very often.
She just started yawning, and I was
You
like,
started yawning.
it's 10 o'clock over here. I've had a full day.
Look, it's 5 o'clock. Nana's got to go to bed at 6. All right.
Nana.
So back to the topic, though. Also,
Yeah. Keep going.
So I wrote down, so she at one point, like she shuts the door on her body that's like left in the room, right? And I wrote down like shutting the door on her old self and living as her new self, but she's living falsely as her new self because it's like not really her.
Yeah.
And then I also wrote down there's like obviously a overemphasis on like the obsession with like youth and sex in this and how sex sells.
Also, and then can we real quick?
Yeah.
Why did they not at least do a blow up cot or bed? Don't just leave your old body right on the like hard floor. Like I feel like that's kind of mean.
Well, that's the whole like how she's detaching herself from that part of her and how she's like treating it as it's just like an object, and it's becoming where it's like it's literally dehumanized. Like it's not even like a person to her anymore. She has to do that, I think, in order to like save her psyche of the whole separation, because otherwise she might like, I don't know, man. That's gotta be.
I'm okay with it being in another room. That makes sense. I get that. You don't want to stare at yourself when you're like hot self or whatever.
She's not gonna like put like a nighty on it and like put a little pillow and tuck it in every night.
No, I would at least. I don't know.
I feel like that's gonna reaffirm like bonds and stuff with it.
Yeah, you gotta like.
All right.
Like you're just a
okay.
That also talked about like the kind of leans into obviously what you were saying about the youth, beauty, sex, but also just like being old. Like being old is hard, no one wants to be old, but like if you're ugly and old, like forget about it. You know what I mean? And like, I mean this is internal, right? Like so like we don't look after our old people. We put them in homes and we let them rot, right?
That's
because
true,
we don't want to look at them. We're like, ew, we're detached. Very similar, right? It's like, let's put them somewhere where we can't see them so we don't need to think about it. And that's how I kind of felt about that whole scene. It's like just getting rid of something that's not desirable and you're just trying to, you know what I mean?
Out of sight, out of mind.
And I do think that's also a Western thing. I mean, I do think there are different cultures. There's different cultures that you have your grandmother live with you, you have your abuelita live with you. I'm part Italian. Yeah, like I'm part Italian, so like I know, but my mom doesn't live with me. Like you know what I mean? So it's like, also it's this weird thing where I think a lot of people don't want to see super old people because it's a reminder of what's coming for them. What's their future. I don't personally mind it. I kind of like old
because
I like the elderly.
We don't honor getting older and view getting older as a privilege, which it is because not everybody else has afforded it. We view it as, oh my God, because we attach it to this unrealistic standard of westernized, idealized beauty. And when we see that beauty start to slip, that idealized beauty start to slip, we start to like panic and devalue that and start to think that like we aren't as worth as much or we don't have that much to contribute to society, which is really actually bullshit. That's why collectivistic cultures are actually superior in some ways in my mind, because they actually care for their elder and they view their elders as fountains of wisdom and superiority and like they honor and they actually think like getting old is a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing, yeah. We're like, oh no, your expiry's coming up, and I don't want to catch it.
But like I'm trying to flip that in my mind and undo that kind of programming. You know what I mean? Like as I'm starting to get like older and stuff, like I'm seeing like smile lines for the first time, and I'm like, oh wow, like instead of being like, oh my God, I'm seeing like a wrinkle, I'm going, wow, that's that time I was in like Melbourne and I was laughing with like Renee in the photo booth, or like that's when I was doing this, and like laughing with Bonnie at dinner at Crossroads, you know what I mean? Like and like attaching to like those awesome experiences rather than being like, oh my God, this is,
I know, and I like seeing wrinkles, especially laugh lines, because it means you have a sense of humor.
Well, men wrinkles and gray hair and stuff on men is like so like applauded in our society.
I know.
Being, like a
what about the big guts? The big guts. Like, can we talk about
I can't do the big guts, girl. I am not a no.
I don't like big guts, but what I'm saying is like how many men are super successful, like everybody applauds them, and they're walking around with like seriously like 10 like giant things of beer just hanging in there. And it's all G. It's like yeah, bro.
I mean,
and that's a woman.
I'm like ab focused, right? Like I'm very into abdominals. Don't scare me over here.
I mean,
I don't do dad bod.
Yeah.
I'm not a dad bod.
Can I bring up
mom bod and dad bod are real, right?
I'm sorry, what, Renee? What?
Mom bod and dad bod are real though, like whether you like it or not, they're real. But it's like but it's just standards.
No!
Jenna.
You know what I mean?
No,
like it's just like
I'm forever dating younger men.
Get like I date younger men too, but that's on the
but so back to the movie though for a second. So there's a part where she says to herself, she finishes her first episode, and then at the end she like walks up to the camera all cute, and she's like, "No, take care of yourself," and she like blows.
Well, it's because that's her signature.
I know, but it's interesting because she says, "Take care of yourself," whilst she begins to actively not take care of herself.
Right.
And so I'm like, bitch, you are bitch, but you are not doing it. You are not taking care of yourself whatsoever.
Also, did you guys notice the Dorian Gray reference? Because she has that giant piece of artwork of herself, and it's a callback to the picture of Dorian Gray of the guy that stays young because everything bad that happens to him shows up on the painting of himself and not himself.
My amazing friend Louise watched it, and that's what she said to me when she texted me, because I was like, "Tell me what you think about it." And she texted me, and she's like, "Because like now I'm getting a reputation as like the movie chick that like movies and has all the movie recommendations."
I mean, that's a good thing to be referenced as. Yeah.
But that's the first thing she said. She said she was like Dorian Gray, and I was like, yeah.
I mean,
we talk about like what we thought, like what was your favorite like didn't not see? I know there's a lot of them, but like did not see it coming, like things that you just like what the shit.
I'll let you guys go first because I feel like I've been talking too much.
No,
unless you want me to. Unless you want me to. Do you want me to say it while you're thinking?
Yeah, go.
Okay, so I did not anticipate her.
I know what part I didn't see coming. I didn't see that.
You go first.
I didn't see that putting on the dress and going to the fucking thing. Like I really didn't know it was going to go that far. I didn't know it was gonna
when she's pulling her teeth out, yo. When she's pulling her teeth out, I was like, baby, what's happening? Like, I'm like, oh, girl.
I actually saw someone do that once at a premiere. Their glue to their veneers came undone. And I don't know if you know a lot about veneers. Like, I have crowns right here because, as you know, I filled in some cement stairs in June, so I had to have these replaced. But because they were broken in half, when you don't have them in, so I was having a bit of a visceral moment in that teeth moment, because I remember when I fell down the stairs and I was looking at myself in my bathroom mirror and there was blood everywhere, because head wounds, you're just going to get blood everywhere. And I looked at my teeth and I started crying because of how they were broken. That moment, she's staring at that. So I was like, oh God, no, that I'm having trigger. But I remember being at a premiere of a movie and some girl's veneers had come loose and her veneers fell into the sink and her teeth were all jagged. But I will give her credit because she was super like funny about it. And she's like, I guess I'm going to just be hot and not smile with my teeth tonight. And I was like, oh my God. And then she said some blowjob joke, which was really funny. But I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I would be freaking out if I was you right now.
And then she's in the elevator and then she gets out and the dude's like, smile. And I'm just like, fucking smile. And she doesn't do it. But there was a part of me.
Smile not using her teeth. She still smiled.
Yeah. No, she still smiled, but I mean, I was just like, I would have loved it if she went full crazy and just like.
What I love at the end is that she is dressed in this beautiful dress, and then she has the mask, and she's like, I could see the mask to her face. And she pulls the mask to her face, and I kept thinking, is she thinking she can pull this off?
There are so many funny moments, and that's why I think like people were looking at me like I was crazy in the theater because I was
it's hilarious.
And then I was laughing, and then I was like,
you know, when I'm doing this, like I'm 2 years old, you know, it's really funny.
Because when her teeth came out,
yes, like putting the earrings in. Oh, I laughed so hard in that scene.
When she's curling the hair that she has left.
Oh, I know the one.
And then putting in the effort. She is putting in the effort. Like, good for her.
No, but like that's my whole thing. Is like, what is going on in her mind that she's like, oh yeah, I'm still going to this fucking thing, man. I'm still going.
Well, that's how bad it gets. Like, right?
You not just that. I feel like I don't know if it was a certain level of insanity where she's like, I'm so hot, or she's like, I went through hell. I'm not going to this event because I went through hell too.
I felt like there's a bit of both, but like it was. But like I was like,
you know what part I just thought of that I felt really bad for her.
What?
There's a part where like the guy that that Sue has sex with on the motorcycle, and then she runs into the guy on the motorcycle, and he's like so mean and so dismissive to her. And like, I don't know why that scene, it's like not a major scene in the movie, but it just
but it hits you because it's I feel like that's the moment you realize, you know what I mean?
It just gave me an icky feeling in my stomach for her, and I just
of course.
Yeah, I mean, I did not see the car crash coming. That was fucking brutal. I was just like,
I did because I did. Okay, here's a girl that spaced out looking at something, and then no, I'm just kidding.
Here's a little screenwriting tip. Here's a screenwriting tip. And I'm going to say it, and it's going to probably make you see every car wreck coming before it comes. Anytime the camera is showing someone driving on their side, they're going to get hit by another. They're going to get T-boned. They're going to get T-boned every single fucking time. It doesn't matter.
I'm never surprised when it happens. I'm always
anytime I see someone being filmed at the side, I'm like, yep, they're about to get hit. They're going to get T-boned. Someone's going to hit them on the side with the car. It happens every single time. The reason is because that way of filming someone's a little more expensive. So if they're going to pay that much money, it's because there's going to be an accident of some sort.
Something that's okay. I just was like,
but it's so sad because she's like looking at the billboard being taken down from her, and then it's just like poof.
I think the saddest part of that whole incident, the saddest part for me for that whole incident, because I've been in car wrecks, she was unscathed. She was unscathed and she was depressed. And I kept thinking, I thought if you get in a big car wreck and your face is messed up or something, you have to have plastic surgery anyway, you might as well do the substance. But she doesn't even know about the substance until the car wreck, right? Because that's when she meets the nurse. when she meets the young nurse.
Yeah, and then he puts the thing in her jacket pocket, and then she finds it.
Also, can I tell you how unnerving it was to have that nurse guy like touch her spine like that over and over, with not asking first if he could touch her. Like that was creepy right there.
Yeah, but at the same time, as women, these kind of things fucking happen, and they make us feel uncomfortable, and we have to kind of. It's not acceptable, but they fucking happen, dude.
Yeah. Anyway, so I was just like, wait, you look hot after a car wreck and you're depressed even more? Like, you would think surviving a car wreck and not being injured would be a big enough moment of enlightenment or big enough, like, oh, I'm getting a second chance here. But it wasn't. She was just even more depressed. And that was so, I mean, I know they had to do that.
Her car is wrecked and she's got no car. She's got no job. Like, everything, like,
it's depressing.
And it's her birthday.
It's her birthday. It is depressing. And she was fired. Yeah. I mean, she had a depressing day, and having a car wreck on top of it's not great, but she survived. I don't know. I guess part of me is like, if I had been injured, then I could kind of see.
And then she goes out to get drunk at the bar, and she's all alone, and she drinks like 4 martinis, and then like she looks over and sees like another lady getting with like a guy, and then she feels lonely, and then she pukes in a fucking toilet, and it's very sad. It's very sad. It's very like
again, that's sci-fi, because if I look like her, you would not be having this problem. This is not a problem. Like,
but isn't it? But you know what? Perception is everything, though.
Yeah, also, I guess it's also in LA, especially. I see hot women in their 50s getting ignored because they're in their 50s. So I get it. It's an ageist thing as well, and a perception thing, and also, you know, you don't want. Obviously, the movie has to go to some depressing lengths before she'll take substance, or else if she's super happy, she would never take it. So I get that.
I would never, that color into my body. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I would never do a Midori shot.
Beautiful, like glittery color to make me like. It would have to be like sparkly diamonds, and I'd be like, oh, I'll inject this. Like that color green is just like, no, man, no.
It's interesting though. I've done a lot of injectable prescription and non-prescription, and they're always clear. I never see any colored liquid.
Well, they had to make it iconic.
Never see. Yeah, they're gonna make it like gross.
You think it would be a little like, I don't know. If I was gonna make, I feel like if I was gonna make an illegal drug and it was gonna be something cool, I would at least throw some gold flakes or glitter into the mix. But but also you're putting it into your body, so it has to be safe. So I guess it would have to be something that could dissolve.
Let's make it look snazzy.
Or at least make a glitter syringe. I don't know. Anyway, we're going off the deep end. But do you know my favorite moment of this movie? The favorite moment of this movie for me, and the happiest moment, which probably shouldn't be the happiest moment, and the funniest, is when she is just her face dragging herself down the sidewalk.
Oh my god, I love it so much.
My dad on the star. And then she's looking straight up at the palm trees, which is symbolism. There's palm trees in this movie for a reason. And she's smiling, and she's finally happy because she isn't with her body, and she's on her Star Hall of Fame, and she seems like the happiest she's ever been in the movie because her smile is so beautiful. And that's how they end the movie before she just dissolves into a bloody puddle onto her star. But here's the thing, this is gonna ruin me walking on stars in LA now, because I'm gonna be constantly thinking, did I just step in a person, or was that gum? Like, I'm just gonna constantly think of that.
No, you won't.
But I kind of feel like it was like a fun, I feel like it was a happy ending. Does it feel like a happy ending? It felt like a happy ending. Am I weird?
Oddly kind of happy, but I don't know. In a weird kind of
iconic. No one is ever going to forget her.
No, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's true. Now she's infamous. Yeah,
like after that epic performance.
Right? I made my dad go and watch this film, and my dad called me.
What did he think?
He loved it, and he called me, and he was talking for like about half an hour. But his favorite scene was that final scene with the face crawling onto the thing.
I thought it was happy.
He was like, "Oh, that's so good!" Like it was
so good.
Mm-hmm. And then like and then obviously the putting the damn dress on and the mask and like standing on. And the bloodbath. I was like, is this? And it kept going. And like just people's faces in the cinema were just like, everyone
the decapitation. The decapitation scene. Yeah, like I said, I was at a point in the movie where there was like a half hour. Yeah, the head. So I was like a half hour left. I was like, what's gonna happen? Like, because I kept thinking it can't get any weirder. Like I kept thinking to myself,
it was gonna. I felt like I was like, it can't, but it's going to. I'm like,
it's going to.
And then when like, I mean, I think everyone in the cinema just went when she fucking walked out after the teeth and like put the dress on. Everyone was like, this could go anywhere. Like it really is a fast-paced, insane roller coaster the whole way through. And for me, and I was just like, wow. I was so captivated from start to finish, which is like
I really was too. I was like, it held my attention. It kept me entertained. It had me thinking like deep thoughts. It also had me like obsessed with just the visual representation and the aesthetic and the composition of everything. The acting was freaking brilliant. Like I laughed. I was like, I was grossed out. I wondered how they did special effects. Like it was all like almost a perfect movie for me.
Yeah, it really was. I was like, I came out and I was just thinking, this is like 5 stars, man. This is like 5 stars. I was like, this is fucking everything I've wanted in a film.
Me too.
Like, how did this happen? Like, I was like, this woman, like, I'm like, this is like, I didn't know a film could be this good. Like, this is so fucking good. I was just like, one after the other, just plummeled. Like, to me, that's I'm just wow.
What I love about a movie like this is you can tell the filmmaker loves movies. You can tell the filmmaker pays attention to movies. You can tell the filmmaker wants a layered, very funny, weird, graphic, crazy film. And also, I am very hard on movies if I can predict what's going to happen next. I did not realize. I thought I was just like, I just am a writer and I watch them. It is a neurodivergent thing to see patterns. And because I am that person, I know exactly what a person's going to say next in a lot of movies, just because of patterns, just because of template. Also, just if you watch enough horror films, you kind of know.
We've all watched far too many films that like
but you also know there's like a template for a lot of those, but there's also like act 1, this is going to happen, act 2, this is going to happen, act 3. This is a movie that for the first time in my life, I did not know what was going to happen from one moment to the next. And I was captivated. I think that's why I didn't realize how long the movie was, because I was so in it already.
When I put it on to rewatch it, I was like, oh wow, it's over 2 hours. I was the same way when I watched it. When I was in control of it. So when I was watching on streaming, I was like, wait, it's that long? I'd seen it in the theaters twice before that. So you would think I would know that, but no, because it's so exciting, it's so captivating. And again, you can watch it multiple times.
I was buzzing. I got home and I was buzzing.
I couldn't sleep.
I had to go to bed and then like wake up to go to work the next day, and I just lay there being like, fucking whoa.
I actually didn't go. I couldn't. My brain, it put it into overdrive, so I didn't even go to bed. The first time I saw it on a Sunday night. I didn't go to sleep, so I went to work with no sleep and the substance in my brain, heavily in my brain, which made for a very interesting morning meeting. But it was, I was like, work was interesting because, of course, no one on my team at Microsoft had seen the movie, and all I wanted to do was talk about the movie. So I kept bringing it up in meetings, and they're like, "Why we're not talking about this today, Bonnie? Stop talking about this." So like, I was really like, this is the problem when you have. This is the problem. I wish you guys worked with me, because then I could talk to you about this all the time instead of waiting once a month. But I convinced everyone at work to go see it. So we'll see how many of my team go see it. But when I would go to parties, everyone was talking about this movie and everyone had a different perspective. And that's when you know a movie is good, when people cannot stop talking about it and everyone took something different from it. That's when you know it's a good movie. And also different people from different walks of life, different backgrounds, different ages, different identifying genders, different sexuality, whatever. Everyone saw something I didn't see, where I was like, oh, that's not my perspective. Of course I didn't see that. And also it's interesting talking to guys about what they see in it, because, you know, women are going to see something very specific, but men, like I talked to some guys and they're like, yeah, I really didn't like how all the guys in this movie were like stereotypes. And I'm like, yeah, welcome to our world, buddy. Like, I was just like,
the other one, Charlie. Sorry.
Well, no, he kept saying there wasn't a redeeming guy in this movie. And I'm like, well,
that was kind of the point, Bets.
Yeah, I know. But
not
also,
you. I mean,
but also, maybe guys aren't used to seeing a movie where there's no redeemable guy at all.
Yeah,
not a single one, except for the like her high school dude, right? But even them,
He's got
that
a
was
level
kind of
of
creepy.
creep. He's still got a level of creep because
I mean,
regardless
am
of
I wrong? Did you think that too? Because I thought, is he creepy?
he likes her because he thinks she's hot, right? He likes her
Okay.
because she's a sexual object.
Fred?
He doesn't sound like he likes her because of who she was. He's
No.
obsessed with her because she's hot and famous and went to school with
Yep.
her. If she wasn't hot,
He
like if she
doesn't
wasn't
actually
famous, you know
see
what I
her
mean?
as a person. He just sees her
No.
as Elizabeth Sparkle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it felt like even though he was the most like
No,
less
but
gross
that's
of
why
them,
it's
he
so
still
impactful.
had
He
it.
gives her
he
the
still
dirty
was.
piece of paper is because like that just shows that he doesn't actually respect her or like care about her. Otherwise, like
Oh, the neighbor, yeah.
dirty,
John
muddy.
just mentioned the neighbor. I forgot about the gross neighbor.
Oh my god, I totally forgot about him.
Who doesn't give a fuck if she makes noises as long as she's hot?
No, but he wanted. Remember when he starts creeping onto her and he like wants to hook up with her? That was fucking gross.
Yeah, also that audacity, that confidence he had that he thought he could actually get her made me laugh. I was like, dude, she's way out of your range. Yeah,
he was so mean, like yeah, he was like, and then when she opens the door, he's all like up in it, like Mr. Predator. I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
You know what? That's very tangent to the other. I watched Woman of the Hour on Netflix, and her neighbor that she kind of had like pity sex with. To like also pity sex is a genre that has not even been tapped yet, and I hope it doesn't because it's kind of triggering. But it felt like that's how sometimes you don't want to ever have the neighbor you flirt with or flirts with you because then you have to move at some point because it's just not. It's going to be. Yeah, you don't want to be caught in the laundry room with the creepy neighbor. That's just not. As a woman, that is something that we are always kind of aware of. Just be careful who you flirt with in your apartment building. But that moment, he was
just being nice in general, which some men can take as being flirty.
Or they think you owe them or something. Yeah, it's a little but that was a moment. Also, it was funny that she was like, I just moved in. Like she never really, like, I don't know how I would do that because they're never supposed to be awake at the same time. So she never has to like introduce her older self to anyone, right? But she does. The fact that she just said, I'm going to be gone every other week, taking care of an elderly, whatever. The fact that was like, let go as, okay, that's cool. I mean, maybe we're in an era now where everything's remote. You don't really have to
pretty privilege right there. It's pretty privilege.
Well, I was about to say, it's because she's hot and pretty. It's like, I don't
right.
She could be killing people
hired.
I
don't think I get hired for a job and say I'm going to be gone every other week and still get the job. Like that was gotta be pretty privileged.
I want to say too, how awesome were the scenes because I thought they were fucking sick. The scenes where they like with the going back and forth towards the end, going back and forth down the hallway to the bathroom in the other room, like the dragging and like, oh my god, like you actually felt you were being dragged. Like I was just like, oh. And just pull the fucking.
You would think she would get some sort of system, like a dolly or like a wheelbarrow, something.
Yeah,
so it's not.
When the big photos down and dragging it across, and like you could the feminine rage, but also like against each other. That was what was weird. It was like they were fighting against each other, which is obviously they're fighting against themselves. But like it was so like visceral, and just, I love the way the lighting, the composition of the shots, like the way it just was so like. It was the whole fucking thing is wild, grotesque, insane, funny, hilarious.
I imagine being the set designer on this film must have been so much fun because watching her, like the Demi Moore character, destroy the apartment more and more and more. And what, like when she would, could you imagine? So young Sue wakes up. And that's what she wakes up to is a totally like food everywhere, trash everywhere. Everything's disgusting. I love that because in the beginning you see
cooking when she's doing the kitchen and like I'm
right,
like,
but also you see in the beginning Demi Moore's character has a housekeeper. She clearly has to fire her because the housekeeper is going to discover a body at some point, right? So she gets rid of her. But then I wonder, wait a minute. Without this housekeeper, if she had never taken the substance and she didn't have a housekeeper, would this have happened? Like, would she have just been like a pig, or is this just her basically disintegrating? And also, a lot of this is revenge. They're pulling revenge on each other, right? So she's like, "Well, if you're gonna like make me get witch finger, I'm gonna destroy the house for a week."
Witch finger, and then she gets goddamn like I don't know. Hippopotamus fucking feet, you know what I mean? And then like that bit where
it's awful. It's just really, really
that noise when she's like in the shower and then all of a sudden like, she puts out and she puts her foot down and then there's like her ooh, like
No.
It's also like this is rapid aging, so I feel like when you get older, you do like I am starting to notice things are weird. I mean, there are things breaking down on me constantly. Like I throw out my back for the dumbest reasons. Sometimes I wake up and I have this thing where I have like clenched hand. Part of that is being on Adderall. That's an Adderall side effect, but it's not something great to wake up to when you can't move your hand. And you're like, oh, is this a new thing? Am I paralyzed now? Eventually, like you have to do exercises like the labyrinth thingy or whatever. But I was just like, wait a minute. And then I'm noticing like aches and pains. I notice when I get up from a chair, I sound like my dad now, where I make that sound, the old man. Yeah, the old, no, not that. The old man sound where you're like, well, also there's this great TikTok of a plastic Halloween skeleton of this girl moving it and then moving her own knee. And it's the same sound. And that's like, because my knee pops too. And I can't even say it's like a war injury. It's just, I probably from being a go-go dancer or something.
But look, it crunches. And this happened to me since I had my surgery because I was like bed bound for like 3 months. And ever since then, now I make crunchy sounds.
Yeah, the crunchy sounds that's something to look forward to. You're going to make the crunchy sounds. Yeah, you feel like bubble wrap. After a while, you just start to sound like bubble wrap when you get out of chairs and get up in the morning. But yeah, so this is like rapid aging in this movie. So I would probably be freaked out too if my younger self was like, hey, I want an extra day. So I'm going to age you about 100 years. So have fun with that. Like, because she's not
I'd be
saying,
like, you know what? I'm going to go sit in this chair. I'm going to eat 100 chickens.
Yeah, I'm going to get back to you. Yeah, I'm going to eat like, and also, I don't know if you clocked this, but she's cooking everything from that cookbook she got from her.
Oh, I know.
Boss. And I was thinking about this the other day because I just
gave her the most fatteningly disgusting cookbook to a fitness person, which was
he said that his thing was, oh, my wife loves this, like, and I wonder. Well, I think his wife wrote the book. That's one thing I talked. But also,
she's probably never cooked in her life either, right? That's I was
like
wondering
about
like
that.
This is going to be the most amazing food ever vibes.
I mean, here's the thing. I just finished Martha, which is the Martha Stewart documentary on Netflix, which I highly recommend you watch. It's very good. But I was getting Martha Stewart vibes from this movie because she was making things from scratch in a way that took a lot of time and effort. And also, it felt like she was using the cookbook as like the Necronomicon revenge book against Sue.
Yeah.
And you don't really, Sue doesn't know that these things are going to affect her until the chicken bone belly button thing happens, right? The chicken, like the out of her, right?
Belly button. It was her butt, but it was like a little butthole.
It's a little
butthole. She put her hand in her belly to mush it. Get it.
No, yeah. So it started in her belly button, is what I'm saying. So it started. Oh, did it start in her back? Like I can't remember where.
Started in her back.
And then came out her butt, right?
Yeah. And then she put her hand in her belly button.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
I thought she put her hand in like a hole in her butt.
No, it did. I'm just trying to remember where it started.
All right.
I hate belly buttons.
Also, wait, why does she have a belly button if wasn't born? She didn't need an umbilical.
That's why it wasn't a belly button. I'm telling you.
No. Did she have one?
That's all I know.
No. Did she have a belly button? Is what I'm saying. No. I don't care what's coming out of it. Does she have one? I don't think she has one.
I don't care what's happening. Did she have one?
Sorry.
Did the bitch have a belly button? That's all I want to know.
So what other notes did you have, Jenna? I feel like you had a whole bunch of other notes. What else did you have?
Oh, there was just one part where like she was like obviously overstaying, like the Sue character was overstaying and being greedy. And I just had the thought of like, and I just wrote down like beauty is entitled. And how like, the demands of beauty can sometimes like override like actual rational thought, if that makes sense. Like,
it does.
To, like,
yeah.
100%. Yeah. And then I talked about the binge eating, and then I talked about.
Did you guys clock also about the poultry eating is also a reference to aging, like women getting turkey neck, but also crow's feet.
It also reminded me of Girl Interrupted.
Oh yeah, the chicken.
Same.
Oh, Brittany Murphy. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, I miss Brittany. I know Brittany's such a great actress, and I love all of her movies. And I'm like, she had her, was it her birthday? Her birthday happened, I think,
Recently,
recently. And so, of course, when her birthday shows up, everyone on Instagram posts things, friends that worked with her post things. And it's just like, I mean, it's tragic how young she died and her life was really problematic. Just she didn't trust the right people and all of that. But that it's in the book Girl Interrupted, which I highly recommend reading as well. It's the book is even more disturbing. That chicken and chocolate thing in Girl Interrupted. And also when you find out she's got abuse issues and there's a lot going on with that poor girl. Anytime chicken is used in a horror film or used in a weird way, I always think about that because why does everyone always go? Why is that the go-to? Why is it nachos? Why is it?
I wouldn't be sure as shit wouldn't be chicken for me. I'd be like, how many pizzas can I order? How many bowls of pasta? I definitely wouldn't be chicken. That'd be the
Maybe
last.
It's just because it's gory because there's a
mine
bone.
would be cake. I would just have cakes everywhere and cookies.
Well, that's what I mean. I had pizza. I had pizza. I had ice cream. I had
I'm not doing. If I could eat anything, it's not going to be high protein. It's going to be sugar.
I don't even eat meat, so
bread.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
I don't even eat meat.
I guess it's just not as gross as
obviously,
right? Like it's
also
so
one of the few. It has a bone in it. Yeah, it also has a bone in it. It's kind of gross to watch it being prepared. So I feel like it makes sense if you're going to gross people out with food. Oh yeah, Tom Lewis just mentioned Poltergeist. By the way, that's a horror film. So I wrote I'll post this on my social media, wherever you're on social media, I'm on as well. I'm on like 50,000 different platforms because whatever. But I wrote an article for CNET about the top Thanksgiving horror films. And one's called Poltergeist. And it's about a turkey that basically is satanic. He comes back to life as Lucifer, but in turkey form. It's really good. So there's like 3 of them. And then there's obviously Eli Roth's Thanksgiving. There's a lot of great things. Christie's a great Thanksgiving movie of a girl that stays back in university when everyone else is going away for Thanksgiving. She's there by herself and it's a slasher film. But here's the thing. Poultry's weird and it's kind of gross when you have to prepare it yourself. You have to defeather even if you have to kill the turkey yourself or chicken yourself and then you have to defeather it. But also you have to defeather. If you've ever had to pluck a chicken, it's gross. The skin is gross.
Yeah, yuck. No, I've never done that, thank God.
It's pretty gross. But most people don't ever do that. Most people just get their food from the grocery store or from fast food or a restaurant.
Yeah.
So people don't know how
put that. They're very detached from the actual processes that involve their food.
Yeah. And I would say stuffing a turkey is one of the most disgusting things ever to do as a cook or as a kid.
Shrimp, right? So shrimp. That's when they had shrimp, I was like, of course, because I mean, I just think it's disgusting that you eat anything that you have to clear its asshole out first. And no, that means you're not meant to eat it. You're not meant to eat
crawdads. If you do crawdads, you're sucking the brains out. You're sucking out the head.
All right, y'all. All right. I don't.
Oh, sorry. Okay, Jenna, go back. Go back to the rest of your notes. I'm sorry, Jenna. Go ahead. Sorry.
I don't know. I think I'm done.
What did you guys think of the outfit?
Oh, I thought the eye people duplicating when she was doing the first split was really fucking cool. They did that. And how one eye was blue and one was green. And I think one of the creepiest parts for me, even though it wasn't the most vulgar, was when her elbow's sticking out of the back of the other Demi Moore character. And I was just there's something about the pointy elbow just coming out of the back.
The thing that was hardest for me, I think, to watch was probably I can't handle the multiples. So it was the extra heads and the bits hanging out. That's what I was
I thought the coolest part though was the iris duplicating, and that by the way is something that shows up in a lot of alien and possession movies. Where you know that you are the host of something, your eye color changes or your iris twitches into something else. And I love that I love that there was a close up of that, right? Because it's also again, my favorite movie all time, Blade Runner. You look at the eyes and that tells you whether someone's a robot or not, right? And also in alien movies, a lot of times you look at the eyes and that shows you. And in possession movies, that tells you. So I love that they did a close up of that. Replicating, but it was such a cool little moment, but also kind of quite beautiful. So I liked it. But then I was like, wait, So if the iris duplicates, there's a good chance everything else in her body's going to go haywire. And that's when I was like, oh, we're in for it. We're in for it. Because the nicest thing to have happen is your iris double up. But everything else doubling up, and also not being in the right place, and also things just falling off and replicating. And there is some well, there's some foreshadow. Remember when they right before Sue, is it Sue that no, it was right before Demi does not Demi, but Sue does her audition. The two guys that are the casting agents are talking about the girl that came before, and they're like, she'd be hot if her boobs were up where her nose was. That's foreshadow for what happens later on in the movie, where the extra boob shows up and she pukes it out. Like, I was just like,
big old boob just out, flop a boob. And also, can we talk about the fact that it's not even like a pert little like silicon boob? We're talking like a big old hanging boob. Like it's
a fertility goddess boob.
Oh
for sure.
It's a nana hanger. Like it is seriously a nana.
Like,
you put that thing on. You can do some, you could do some big.
It's I've had 6 kids breastfeeding boob. It's not a perky little. Yeah, I mean, it is interesting though, right? Of what they chose as far as what they're going to replicate. It wasn't like hot people stuff. It was like, shit, that's like.
yeah. I was like, yeah, dude. And wasn't there oh my god, for some reason there's something I know I've forgotten. It was like, oh, her fucking lips hanging, her lips. Dang! I'm just picturing my friend Roxy was like, and now I can just see her face. Like, her fucking lips dangling.
You know what it kind of reminded me of?
And I remember saying afterwards, I said, I was Roxy, fucking, your lips don't fucking dangle like that when you get old, do you? I was like,
no, well, yeah, if you've had a lot of collagen, they will. So that's what I was saying earlier.
Your lips, baby. I'm talking about your lips.
Oh yeah, those change. Those change a lot. Well, it depends.
Hanging out like that. I was like,
well, it depends. I guess.
Have a JJ be hanging. Have a JJ be hanging.
Yeah, I mean, everything ages on you. So just
right. I don't even use the JJ doesn't just fall out like that. Jesus.
No. I mean, obviously,
there's a bit of weight there.
Obviously, the progression of aging in this movie is not indicative to what it's like to age.
But it's tapping into that fear, right? I'm like, oh, good Lord, my vagina is going to drop like that? Like, what?
I mean, everything drops because of good old gravity.
No, stop.
Hanging out the bottom.
Right here.
It also depends if you've had kids. I think that's a thing.
Come on.
You know what it reminded me a little bit of? It reminded me if there was a sci-fi horror version of the TV series Botched. Do you remember Botched?
Oh, yeah. That would be horrible.
Series?
I mean, that was
always like it was a TV series that was a reality TV series. It was kind of a cautionary tale about plastic surgery that could go wrong. Sometimes it was obviously not the fault of the victim. Sometimes it was malpractice. Sometimes it was, I'm going to go to Tijuana for a half price boob job, and this is what can happen if you get a half price boob job. Like a back alley boob job, I think was the problem. But every once in a while, I'll see a 60 Minutes, especially, by the way, Australia 60 Minutes is on YouTube. I watch that religiously, and half of them, I love it. It's on YouTube. You can find full episodes of Australia 60 Minutes, the news show. And I watch it because they have the best true crime shows, but they are episodes, but they also do episodes about botched plastic surgery and medical tourism and how that's become a thing. And you still have to be careful of, I think one of them too was like ended up being a cartel guy that was making women unknowingly become drug mules by hiding drugs in them after giving them.
I remember actually seeing that one.
Yeah, the lipo one. Yeah, that one was sad. So it's just like, I love those shows. I mean, they're over the top news shows, of course, but I watch movies like this and it's like, plastic surgery is scary. It's pretty commonplace, but there's still plenty of times it can go horribly wrong.
And pharmaceutical, the whole 100%. But even the shit, like, I'm not like, what's that word? Like, there's so much in our generation, like, and just in our lifespan that we don't know what has done to us. Like, like, and I'm not talking just fucked up things. I'm talking everyday things like prescriptions, like, and shit. Normal prescriptions we've all been on that we have no idea what that's doing to us, And
I hope it leads to us having mutant superpowers, but I don't really think that's what's going to happen. I think it's just going to be a different cancer.
But wow, But yeah, I guess like there's so much. Yeah, like literally, you could talk about this movie for hours and hours and hours. But I think that I mean, this is a 5 out of 5 film for me.
Me too.
Like, which is very hard for me to be like a 5 out of 5. Like, there are films that I love to death and still wouldn't give a 5, but this one, I'm like, it blew me 100% out of my seat. It completely shook me. I've never cried, cried rather, or like just like both, and been so damn excited while watching a film, and just been completely. It's been a long time since I've seen something that actually transported me to somewhere else, and that's 100% what this did. So like, yeah, like I seriously, that's it. I don't even have any more words for it. It's just like it was just that good.
It's the movie of the decade for me, not just the year. I think the thing that made it so special for me is that I watch so many things and have watched so many things, and I am such a nerd for movies and horror and storytelling, and also being a woman, I care about stories that are definitely, focused on the stuff that we go through. But here's the thing. It's a movie that everyone talks about where they have a different perspective. And I like any movie where everyone has a different take on it and their take is still fascinating, but also it's a movie that I can watch over and over and always catch something new. And I didn't guess anything. I really didn't. I really was surprised. And also, like you were saying, Renee, for me, it was a movie I could scream and laugh and cry all at the same moment. That's something to say, that all the emotions came out of me on this film. But the fact that there's so much humor in it too, and that it's not a downer. It's not. I do think the ending's a happy ending, and I don't think it's a downer of a film. I think it's really good critique on society.
Well, there's just too much going on.
Yeah.
It could have been really, really, it could have been really dark and dire, but there's just the pace, the comedy, everything in it keeps
everything.
Like, I think
everything's to the extreme. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also there's subtle moments. Yeah. What do you think, Jenna?
I'm sorry, I got distracted looking at hot men's pictures.
What are you doing? Are you on Tinder right now?
I'm not on Tinder right now. I was just looking at something. I'm sorry. I started to zone out when you started talking about the lips and the grotesque. I just I started to like zone out.
That's okay.
I think it's a brilliant film. I put it on my list of favorite films of all time already, so it's there for me, and I think that everybody should watch it.
Yeah, and also I suggest people watch her earlier film, Revenge. That's also a very good movie. You can kind of see some stylistic things that she does in that movie as well. But yeah, and it's also my favorite Demi Moore movie, and I didn't think anything would top the other films I love her in. Like, I loved her in St. Elmo's Fire.
It's made me love her. Like, it's definitely made me like have a whole new appreciation. I'm so damn happy that she had the balls to take this movie on.
Me too. Also, I think it's going to be, I hope, I don't know. I always say this about movies like this, that I hope Hollywood's paying attention, that these movies can be made and we need more of them. But I know also how Hollywood works, and they'll be excited for it. And then next year, no one will care. That makes these decisions. You know what I mean? That makes the budget decisions at networks and movie studios. Those guys are always going to be those guys until they're not. So, but this movie's making money. And it's just like Terrifier, right? Terrifier making the amount of money that Terrifier made is making people look at horror films as, oh shit, these are making money. We need to do that. So
I love horror so much, but I'm a traitor because I really don't like the Terrifier movies at all.
That's a polarizing franchise. I mean, their gore, the amount of gore.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot of
I couldn't even make it through the first I can't remember what year the first one was made, but it's so badly B grade, like, and not in a good way. And and it was like I got like 25.
Well, the character came out of another film, and then it became Terrifier films. So
but the fact I personally don't like them. I think it's a massive feat, and I'm like all for it, because I'm like, fuck yeah, like, let's shake shit up. But like, for me personally, not my vibe. But yay for horror, like fucking with shit and making people stand up and listen. You know what I mean?
I mean, to be honest,
oh my God,
horror
we've talked
films,
for ages. We could talk even more, but
I mean, anyway. But horror, by the way, horror's been making money since Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
As always. I know we were meant to do this last week and we had a bit of a delay. Yeah. So it's just, I'm super, I'm just so happy that we did this one. I'm like, ooh, that's so cool. I can't speak.
I want to do Kinds of Kindness now.
What's that one?
Yes, you do. I know you've got that one on the list. I also really want Kinds of Kindness. I haven't watched it yet.
I really
loved
it. I watched it on the plane on the way home from Australia.
Okay, I'll watch it.
I've got to watch.
It's another movie where I was like, "What the hell am I watching?" And I love movies like that.
Can I recommend a crazy horror film for you to watch? Can I recommend a crazy one that's fast, but you'll be like, "What the hell did I just watch?" It's called Mads.
Oh, I watched that already. I thought it was cool. Yeah, I thought it was cool, and I watched Cuckoo, which I thought was fucking cool as.
Cuckoo's amazing. Oddity is one of my favorites.
Cool
it's also Oddity's great, but Cuckoo is Cuckoo.
Oh, Jenna.
Wait, what, Jenna? What did you say, Jenna? What?
She's giving me shit for saying cool as.
Oh.
Sweet ass.
Is that an Aussie thing?
Aussie thing, sweet ass.
I'm gonna start saying it now.
Sweet
say
ass.
it, yeah. We say
everything sentence, and I'm always like, sweet as what?
As,
sweet as Kenny, sweet as this, sweet as fuck.
Cool as,
they just don't say it. They just say sweet as.
We just say as, yeah. Fast as, slow as, quick as, shit as.
Trying to bring
back what though, motherfucker? As what? It's a comparison word.
I want to bring back Valley Girl talk. I want to bring back like slang from Heather's, and I also want to say wicked, like because now the musical's coming out. I want to say no, it's wicked rad, wicked cool.
All right, y'all. I gotta go feed my dog.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, girls, for doing this. I had so much fun as always.
This is so fun.
I have projects that are coming out. They're almost done. I'm very excited. Check them out. I've also got a sale right now going on my Spicy site. So when I go live tomorrow, I have a show tomorrow. So check it out.
Yay! I have a comic out called When I Was Young. It's a queer comic. All the proceeds go to Trevor Project. Please check it out.
Yay, Trevor Project.
Yep. What do you got going on, Renee? Besides looking beautiful. Renee.
I've been doing lots of I've been doing lots of writing stuff. So I'm starting to revive my Medium again, put stuff out on there. I just wrote it kind of works with this topic actually. I just wrote a really cool piece as well called She's Not Even Pretty, which is going to be published. I can't share it until it's published next month.
Nice.
But when it's published next month, I will share it with you. But it's coming out in a zine. So I handed that over yesterday. So I'm excited for that one. That'd be fun.
Cool.
But and then we should be we'll be back next month, but we'll keep you posted on what that film's going to be. Amazing. All right, love you, girl.
Everyone, and also thank you for all the great comments in the comment section. We have the best watchers, best viewers, so thank you.
Bye.
That was sweet ass. Bye.